You never know everything, and you're always trying to learn. That's all we're trying to do, and you get a special treat in the midday because you get to learn from somebody who you have not always got. You always see this person, but you don't always get to see her on the trading desk. So it's our pleasure to bring you the midday with Joey Options and Adara. Go get them.
Let's go.
She brings you the news, but she also trades too, and you're going to get to see her trade today.
See you guys soon.
Thank you.
Ta-da! Yes, you guessed it. Neil nailed that one on the head, guys. Welcome to the Midday Madness. Next to me, of course, is the wonderful Adara. Looking forward to spending this session with her because we don't get to do it quite often. No. It's been a while, so it's been a while.
Last week, but you weren't there.
I was
last
not.
Week with Obi.
I was a little bit south from here, where it is typically warm, and that's what we want to see. All right, guys. Let's see who we got in the chat here this morning. We got what's going on. Zoro, Tubaba, Rusty Dutch, what's up? The Marines. What do I think about Netflix? Oh my days. Yay. Adara on the desk says LYYH. That's probably something that you just made up there or was given to you. Brian Thompson, what's going on? Dumbo Thinks Films. Greg Saluzzi, Yummy Thai Foods. Taconsion sauce? Okay, I totally butchered that one. And who else do we got? G-Talk, what's going on? Jody Used Items, what's up, Jody? 420 Bud Monster. Johnny Just Be Trading, what's up? He says hi. Let's go, Joey Pesos says spin free. Yes, sir. I gotta actually return some pesos. A couple more. Dr. Joey Zaza. Oh, I see what you did there. Brassman, how you doing, my friend? You're coming in as Brassman today. One more we have. You know who it is. Mike P. D. Ryder. Where's Big Spile at? We don't got Spile. We got Mike P. D. Ryder now. We love them both wholeheartedly. But let's start things off with Adara. Adara, why don't you talk to us a little bit what you were trading here today?
It's been an odd little morning, guys.
Okay.
It's been, like, not everything has been great. But I think the biggest thing is I'm trying to work, and I want to give Neil full credit for this. He talks a lot about don't do resulting. Like, what did you do, right? What processes did you take? With that in mind, oh boy, LMT, let's come to mama. Okay, I want to talk about this.
Come to.
So it's weird that I said that, but it's fine, guys. Yeah. So I took this short initially. I mean, like, I'll move it to like the 3 or the 5, but I think regardless, you'll probably kind of like maybe understand why I did this. We're like, okay, trend break, this was super strong, let's do it. I add again, I'll switch to the 1 minute here so you guys can see there was fun little shelfie action. I add. Then I see the book do something I've literally never seen a spready ticker do. Oh. And I talk a lot about spread. So I got short initially here around 539s, added at 538 halves, more or less. So then it's weird because the ask goes all the way up to 539.06. And then meanwhile, you've got like a sub 538 bid. So I'm like, okay, I'll let you figure your stuff out. I do end up getting stopped out. I end up getting slipped 50 cents. Obviously not ideal, but you do what you do. Then I want to talk about here the flip game that happened because I am long LMT, as you can see. But so I got short first because I was like, oh, well, you know, maybe we're going to like lower high at the top. And I'm like, in retrospect, I think a larger part of my brain knew this was a long, but I was like, well, the book looks maybe like, I don't know, let's try. So I tried this short. I realized right away this could get dicey. The second I saw anything on the book that was like a little bit against me, I ran out of Dodge. Then we start going all the way back down to 539. And I'm like, okay, maybe I should have done this short. But then the book does this crazy thing right as we switch shows. I go long. We are, if you look at the ask, I am a fun little dollar in the money. If you look at the bid, I am not. But that's cool, guys, because look, we are trading LMT and we're doing it live. I will not spend all this time deliberating on all my stocks, though. We'll talk about it later. I do want to talk about my girl Lily because I was really happy with this trade. And again, I like to say about my spready tickers, please don't try this at home. I traded Lily like sub 200,000 shares on the day. So like, you know, advised. But I will say the slippage on this was like really good for like how little, like this last, I got slipped a couple cents here on this out, again, a couple cents. But yeah, so again, I just like this long breakout idea, took some profit at the top. I was very lucky to have that get stopped out. Maybe it's a little bit of more slippage here than I'd like to admit on this drop. And then we break below VWAP. I missed the short, but it's fine. We're living life. We're looking for other opportunities. I'll just talk quickly about the trade I'm also still in. VST, initially I like this long off VWAP. If I'd scalped it, in retrospect, I probably should have, but I was busy with Lily. Whatever, it's fine. Took the short below VWAP, added to the short below VWAP. If we kind of keep curling here at this 171, I will fully add again and keep risking 2 VWAP, but right now I won't. Guys, we are $2 in the money on LMT, and I sized hard into this. Because I was like, I don't like, that I did the short. The short was clearly a mistake. Sized hard into this LMT. We might be at all-time highs. So let me check that. I do apologize. I'm like, rat-a-tat through all the stocks, but there's a lot of stocks to talk about here. Nowhere near highs in LMT. Wow, I'm being a little cuckoo. I think we're at weak highs, but we're certainly not at all-time highs. So let's see what happens here at LMT. I'm going to look for some areas to take profit. I'm going to add into VST. I might take another short here of Lily. I was also involved in Palantir, but that is by far my cuckoo brain trade of the day, so I'll do that after. Joe, what are you doing over here?
I mean, it's been a okay session so far, guys. We're not going to complain whatsoever. I mean, it's one of those styles. Obviously, we're going to put on a little bit more for you, but it's definitely a day maker here in OKLO, one and done essentially. I mean, we were long from 110, and we held that size for almost $1.30 before we even started taking any partialing out, and then we were fortunate enough to catch a $4 move here on OKLO. Just looking for the continuation in strength essentially here on the intraday session, and we had that selling, but as soon as I seen those indecision prints off of the lows, I'm like, immediately, let's get involved and see what we can do. So it's definitely not a bad session whatsoever, risking half of my shutdown essentially on this trade to double that, which is really, really fortunate. And you know what? I'm keeping my eyes on a lot of things, but that being said, full disclosure, yesterday we were solidly green and then I slightly overtraded, finished a small red. So we're not going to allow that to happen again. We will be putting on some trades, but OKLO, definitely the trade of the day for the boy. Now we're asking for a lot of requests in the chat. We're going to get into that, but first and foremost, let's take a look at what I'm specifically looking at here today. Now in my notes here, you're not going to be able to see them, but silver just living up to its consistency world. What's up, Randy? What's up, my brother? I mean, I've been looking at silver for quite some time. We've been trading relatively strong. And I don't know why I pulled this up and then didn't show you guys, but every indecision print that I'm seeing is actually coming into fruition and moving higher. It's a steady grind to the top side, another channel being formed here in SLV. But I didn't trade it. Aside from that, guys, I don't even have the overall market on my screen today. I don't even have any of the Mag 7 and no major tech names aside from APLD, and I'm not even going to call it that one. So what am I doing? You heard Michael Noss and Brandon talking about a slight rotation out of these mega cap tech stocks and into other names. Well, I mean, with QE, interest rates cuts on the horizon potentially, that's good for the IWM and some of the smaller names. And that's what I was looking to get involved with. I'm avoiding the NVDAs, the AMDs, the Teslas, etc. I haven't even looked at those names this morning, and I was just hyper focused on the 4 that I have here. Now I get it. It's like, hey, Joe, but you're missing out on high-quality opportunities. That's fine, but I don't want analysis paralysis. I'm going to focus on the 4 that are in front of me, and if they display what I'm looking for, then we're going to have the ability to take the opportunity and take that trade. Instead of having too many things, oh, this is working, oh, that's working, this is working, what do I do? Punch this key, punch that key. No, we're not getting into all of that, Adara. We're going to focus on what's in front of us, and we're going to continue to do that. If I see anything that I like displayed on these 4 names throughout the intraday session, we're going to look to continue to capitalize on them. But so far, one trade for me, I'm not going to call it one and done, but it's been a relatively good one for us. OKLO up 12.6% as we're currently speaking, and looks like it might find somewhat of a rebound, looking for the bull-like continuation from the pre-market as well, too. But to start things off, Adara, we have a super chat.
We do.
How do I feel about leaps on Netflix at this level? Well, I'll tell you one thing about Netflix. I'm sitting in this and it's continuing to bleed. My game plan here is to hold this name until earnings. We're down probably north of 32%. That was at yesterday's close or around the open, with Netflix. That's quite a bit. Neil's saying that it's oversold. I think that we're overdone here in Netflix as well, too. So come January 20th, after the bell, that earnings report is going to come in Netflix, and I'm going to be looking for a pop. That's as simple as it is. Leaps on Netflix. I would wait for this Warner Brothers deal to get done, and then maybe start to trade. I'm in extremely prematurely, and I'm starting to pay a bit of the price, so we are waiting for somewhat of a bounce, maybe and hopefully back to $100 on NFLX Adara.
I saw the funniest comment. I'm not sure if it's a joke, but I'll answer it either way. Gabby Frigo 6782 in all caps. Adara is blind. No, so I do lean in a lot. That is because my vision is not great. If you guys saw my big funky glasses yesterday, those are not for fun. Those are for real. My vision is, and if you guys know anything about vision, you will understand how bad this is. Astigmatism in left eye, and I've got -6.5. I think in the left eye, -6 on the right eye. The left eye is basically on, you know, kind of written off. So.
I have astigmatism as well too.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, so what I found is that, like, okay, yeah, these are just blue light glasses, but it eliminates the fuzz for me. Yeah,
Maybe
like it helps a lot. Yeah, it helps a lot. So I can read a little bit more clearly, and it eliminates obviously that blue light, which kind of gives my eyes that fuzz around wording.
I didn't realize that's where the fuzz came from, but I'm gonna have to check that out. Thank you for letting me know about that one. I am going to tighten the stop on LMT a skosh while I talk to you guys. Yes, I can multitask. I do news and trade. What do you mean? But yeah, so I'm gonna just give this. I'm gonna give this a little bit of room because I feel like this guy is a bit of a crazy one. But again, just to talk about, I think the importance of flip game strong and why you want to be on your flip game. Like if we talk about LMT here, I do want to get long Lily, so I'm going to do that in a second here. But with LMT, like I said, I saw this short, I realized I was wrong, then I waited for the right opportunity to strike and I got in. Like there's nothing wrong with being wrong, as long as Neil said, are you staying wrong or are you flipping up your game? And I think that's also the importance of another thing that Neil likes to say a lot. Sorry, Neil, I'm stealing all your lessons here. Like you don't want to be resulting, because at first I felt kind of badly. I was like, oh, like this trade is red. I moved my stop on Lily too early in the first trade, and I got stopped out. And like, it doesn't matter what happened at first. How do you react to it?
Exactly.
Like the world can like push you. The world can throw you in a pile of mud, and it can like stomp on you and steal your shoes, and like it doesn't matter. Like, how do you react to that? How do you get back up? How do you, as Obi said, get good? How do you, do some Rocky Balboa and roll with the punches? So I think in that case, sure, I can accept this. I stand by the first short. The second short I will accept was a bit ill-conceived, but then I get right back in on the long, and it does end up working. Now, I will talk quickly about why I like the theory of a Lily long here, because Pops Mafia was asking me. At first I said, no way. But then I said, the thing with Lily is the 90 MA. Like, look at this 90 MA. We were rejected hard at 1084. Then slightly lower high here at 1083. If we get above that 90 MA, I'm going to risk here to this slightly higher low. Now, I recognize this could fully go against me. This could be a bear flag, and I could be like, but I think it's worth a try, so I am going to be attempting it. LMT, I did move my stop here. I'm not doing anything with it right now. I have another profit taker at 545-ish, because I like the daily chart. Is this how your brain sounds in your head, or does it come out like the Flash, says Trav Manreal? Like, I guess with regards to how quickly I talk. Yeah, no, I think my brain in my head maybe is a bit slower, but I just think because I have a lot of ideas, I think I honestly don't know if my speech or my brain is more or less organized. There's just a lot of ideas. And much like the infographics I make for TTV Research, I'm just trying to organize it all in a way that I hope makes sense. So I hope this makes sense to you guys. I hope you all are having a good time. I did add to my VST trade, Vistra. So here we go. Here is VST. We might get stopped out at LMT here. That's fine. The book, I don't love the book here. But yeah, so as you can see here in VST, like I like the idea of this flat bottom break, but I want to add at the flat bottom break. I want to add where we get some of this consolidation chop kind of switching up a bit. So I'm going to move over here to the VST book so you guys can see what I mean. I should and will move my stop here to 171.40s because I think that's now the new lower high. But yeah, so I hope everyone's having a great time. I'm going to add to Lily, but before I move on and send it back to Joe, I want to talk about, I mentioned this earlier, my brain dead trade of the day. So this is PLTR. I went short PLTR low of the day. Now, in and of itself, I don't think that's a bad thing, but let's talk about the good and bad of this trade, because we're not going to do resulting. I lost on this. That's not the point. The point is, why did I make the decisions I made? Would I make them again, and how can I be better? I chased this a little bit. By a little bit, I mean like 5 cents. But basically, like this was one of my favorite levels on Palantir today, was that 176 halves area, right? Like I was like, okay, I do like this. That was a bit of a pre-market level as well. If you zoom out here, yes, you can kind of see that in pre-market, maybe a little bit higher than where it was. But then anyways, you get this pop and drop on Palantir, then you go up to VWAP, you go say, hi VWAP, and then you drop. And so I liked, okay, flat bottom break, 175s, I can risk to that 172 halves-ish level I liked. The issue is I took like 1.5 risk units on this, which I don't think it was worth, and then it blows me out at VWAP. So here's the thing. Am I wrong for taking this in the first place from being slightly chasey? Or Like, is it a trade worth taking? I think the stop is completely fine. I don't have an issue with that, but I truly want to know your guys' thoughts on my Palantir trade. Please tag me, because I'm legit trying to sort this out. I mean, obviously, it's my own thought. I'm going to have this battle with myself, but in all seriousness, I do like to know how you guys are thinking, and I like to hear from all the traders we have here. So if you guys have thoughts on this trade, please let me know. LMT deciding not to stop me out yet, though. I can tell in the book we're probably going to get wicked out pretty darn soon. However, it'd be stopped out for profit. Not that that's the point anyway. So Palantir actually might like us along here if we get that 178, then risk here to 177.40. Guys, please ask me questions in the chat. If you have questions on anything, market, whatever, please let me know. Thank you to Lizberto Calvo for the $4.99 super chat. Guys, Adara might be blind, but the trading is top notch. She don't need any eyesight for that. Appreciate you guys. I listen every day. Heart emoji. We appreciate you, Lizberto, and I'm so happy to be here trading with you guys on the midday show whenever I get the opportunity.
Yes, absolutely. All right, speaking of Palantir, our good friend Darius Golden is asking me, Joe, give it to me straight, brother, as I typically do. 205 calls that expired January 30th. First question to you is, when is the earnings report? All right. Joe looking speechless. No, I mean, hey, no, not at all, man. I love sitting next to Dara and Obi, the whole team. It's a privilege sitting next to everybody. So, Darius, back to what you were asking me. I mean, it's going to cost you $90, brother. If you're willing to lose that, by all means. I think that could be a potentially pretty good trade, especially if the earnings report is before January 30th. You could run into some nice gains, and that's what I'm talking about, buying those far out of the money contracts. That's where you can see that substantial return, right? That's where you're going to kind of get into that triple-digit level. So I'm going to give you the nod on that one. I think it's extremely important when that earnings report is going to be. We can obviously find that out for you. No worries at all. But Adara catching a lot of love in the chat. This is exactly what we want to see, guys. We're going to continue with the energy throughout the day. Adara's still in two positions. That's fantastic. I'm looking at the same names, looking for high-quality opportunities to step back in. I told you just one trade on this, and I got stopped out a small fraction here. I'm talking 2.5%. I was willing to leave for a runner to head into 115, and then even potentially the pre-market highs. And then we'd be like, hey, what a wonderful day. Shout out to Arthur for those who know that theme song. Now, as for everything else, guys, it's SMR, silver, we've been talking about it, but what we will do is head over to our scans and see what we got going on. Someone asking me about Bitcoin. And this is where I stand on Bitcoin, all right? We talked about it on multiple occasions, and I tend to repeat it over and over again. Just be cautious of the multi-month consolidations. Now, we've bottomed in November, late November, November 21st to be exact, and we're still trading within on IBIT, that is around a $3 range. That's totally fine. The longer we hold up here, maybe the chances of us getting a solid bounce are going to slightly increase. We like that. And same with NVDA. Brendo was talking about it this morning. It's like, hey, we've been consolidating for quite some time. What is the next potential move here in the major chip name? I think with this consolidation, a nice healthy breath, considering we had a substantial return from those April lows in NVDA, I think that we can take an additional leg higher. Michael Noss was talking about it not too long ago, but he thinks that we're going to see a little bit of chop and then maybe somewhat of a pullback. And I also seen our good friend Tom Lee, Adara, mention that you might see somewhat of a drawdown in the middle of the year. And that's totally fine, because it's going to give you the opportunity to buy some fantastic names at some great prices. Maybe Netflix, maybe some other names that are down 10% or so off of the highs. I mean, Google's been absolutely monstrous, and we're not going to complain about it whatsoever. Adara, we touched a new all-time high this morning on Google with around $330. I think the trajectory on this name is going to continue. Okay? And pardon me.
I said okay.
Oh, okay. And same with Palantir. I think some of these names, the defense names, we're going to kind of categorize it in that aspect. And then we have the robotics and quantum. So even if we see somewhat of a rotation out of the mega names, Adara, we can see some of that money rotate into some new and emerging sectors like quantum and maybe robotics.
Yeah, I think the space stuff too. We talked a little bit about space. I don't think space is like a completely, impossible play to have this year. Like, the space could be you know, going to the moon. I do have to mention this news I just saw, though, guys. I put it in the chat as well. Someone asked in the chat, who's going to do the news? Adara's gone. Yeah, I'm going to do the news as best I can here off X. Apparently, we have some U.S. senators calling on Apple and Google to remove X and Grok from the app stores. Probably not major. But the thing I do want to talk about here is U.S. Supreme Court apparently now expected to issue a ruling on tariffs on Wednesday, January 14th. Now, if that is a thing, I'll be right here to let you guys know, take a look at it, and keep you all posted. So I want to talk there about that. But I also want to mention thank you to MF Dangerous saying here, Palantir support yesterday at 175 with the bottom wicks in the 5 minute today. Looks like need to support again. I do like the break low with tight stop, no issues. Thank you for that. Like I did want honest opinions there on that trade, so I appreciate you guys for chiming in. LMT is doing something on the book. It's funny here, Nick Diaz asking, do you use level 2? I use the order book like super heavily. I don't know if that really answers your question, but especially for trading spready stocks, you kind of, you know, I would argue you have to. But look at LMT here, guys. So I almost got stopped out, which I've always said sometimes is a hallmark of a good spready trade, if it gets right to your level, and then it's like I like that. I like the rubber band, the boomerang. Shout out to TI, rubber band man. Exactly, this is what I thought we might happen here. Okay, so LMT does its sweet little thing. My stop here is in the vicinity of 541.50s, but I mentioned I gave it a little bit of room. So arguably I could have added here when we get this breakout, but either way here. So at this point on LMT, and I'll switch to the 1 minute chart, my thesis is either I get stopped out and that's fine, live your life, or we break out of this consolidation range and we go higher. We end up breaking out of the consolidation range for now and going higher. So that's the deal here with LMT. My rule generally, and you might notice I hold trades for like a while sometimes against me, sometimes not. My thing is my thesis still intact? And if it is, then I stay. In this case, my LMT thesis is very much still intact. I have no reason to leave. This is a breakout on the weekly, so I'm going to chill and keep calm and move on. VST, as I mentioned, I've moved my stop up here now to the vicinity here of 171.30s because I do like this as, again, a lower high. We're now below VWAP or holding below VWAP. I did add a little bit of that 171.30 area. Arguably arbitrary, arguably, I mean, not, I'll just say why I liked it. I like this 170.30 area, right? So I was like, okay, let's do that. Yeah, Lily, I talked about potentially doing a Lily breakout long here. And this is why I like this. So this is the type of look where, as I mentioned earlier, you're either going to get a bear flag, or I think you're going to push up higher above that 90 MA and do a pew rocket ship. I actually go on team rocket ship for now. Though I know we're making slightly lower highs, because here's the thing, this support, the way we're holding this 1079.40, I actually don't hate. So if we break above that 1084, I will go long. I know I'm risking like $5, but to get on a spready ticker, I risked $12 on Eli Lilly off the open on earnings before, guys. Like I have no shame. If it works, it works. And I think that's the biggest thing I kind of want to tell you guys, because I always feel kind of different trading on this desk, because I know I don't trade the standard typical fare, and I think there's nothing wrong with that, but I think the thing is, as trader, you have to understand what you do, and there's nothing wrong with doing the same or different as other people. Just understand, do you have a reason for doing it? We had that copy trade conversation, I think, a while ago with Obi there on the show, which I thought was a really good conversation. And I think people you should be able to make your own trading decision. And there's nothing wrong with, remember one time Sean and Sharif and I all had the exact same out on Meta, the exact same out to the penny on Meta once. And the thing is, we all had very different reasons, we all had very different theses. So I think with the nature of the market being as it is, it's very likely that you're gonna make some of the same decisions as people, but how did you come to that decision? Did you come to it on your own? Do you stand by your decision? I think that's really important. So more whirlwind yappings from Adara LePage, but in the meantime, I'm still in LMT. Again, I don't love that we can't break back above 543. I'm proud to say I did get the little 543 high a day out, but I think at this point we might get stopped out. That's completely fine. I'm chilling. I have no reason to move my stop as mentioned. And yeah, let's see here if Lockheed Martin can defend, pun intended, this level right here. I was really quickly, if you don't mind, Joe, before I go back to you, I will mention the Tesla one, our good friend Elon Musk, and I believe it was Vin Vici in the chat. Are you bullish or bearish Tesla here? I'm not looking at Tesla necessarily. It wasn't on my list. That being said, I don't hate the way we're kind of trying to hold on to this 444. Shout out to the Jay-Z album. And let's see, is this uptrend intact? I'm going to pull Anil here, and I'm going to try to draw an uptrend, although I'm not very good at trend lines, so apologies in advance. But yeah, I mean, look here, you've got this. Oh, accidentally drew another one. Yeah, so I mean, kind of holding. I do have a strategy I like where if we break trend and then we retest that line from the other direction, then I might take it as a short. But right now, Tesla's kind of giving me no reason either way, and so I'm just going to kind of wait to see what happens. Why no juice in Apple so far this year, asks her Scrambler. I do believe that we did have Brendan and Michael Noss talk about this today, but sometimes like these plays, they do have to give a little bit back up. If I remember correctly, Apple generally tends to start the year a little bit weak as well. I'll go back to you, Joe.
Absolutely fantastic stuff, Adara, as always. All right, guys, just going across the board, looking for some potential setups here. We talked about that one trade here in OKLO. Our final out was approximately 10:15. So over an hour ago, and we still haven't taken any other trades. So we're going to continuously run through our scans and look for some high quality opportunities and try to take advantage of them. So QBTS, heading back to that the quantum names that we were talking about. MU, what has that been up to, considering that is okay, there it is, 340, not too far off of that all-time high of 347. One gap up and you're getting a new ATH in MU. ASTS, what are you up to? That's on the daily, printing $99, heading toward a key pivot of 102.94, so not too bad of a look there whatsoever. I was thinking a little bit of a short here on SMR, but I might have to order shorts for that. So by the time that I get them, the trade may be gone. APLD starting to show some indecision prints near the highs as well too, guys. But the volume weighted average price hugging price pretty tight here. Inverted hammer candle right at the highs. It's not isolated or anything along those lines, but there is a little bit of selling pressure starting to step in. Volume relatively cool as you head into the lower time frames. Now, as for any tickers, options activity, let me know. Trying to get a rise. Adara is sick though. Yeah, that's all right, brother. I forgive you, Levi Corbett. No worries at all. We'll brush that one off and we'll start fresh. How's that? How does that sound, my friend? All right, Mara, we tried to short on that one yesterday as well too, Adara. But for quite some time, it's been in a choppy range. The daily not looking so good. We did have a breakout of around $23, but then we give up the majority of that all the way down to $10. You're down 56% when we look at Bitcoin off of those highs. We're not even close to that. I mean, we've had a pretty dramatic pullback, if you ask me, off of that $72 high on IBIT, but half of what Mara has retraced. So that is not a good look in these Bitcoin miners. Now, this is my scan. This is going to be anything that has over 1 million shares and an X amount of market capitalization. Now, Tesla, the ever so popular name, what has it been up to today? Have you looked at Tesla today, Adara? I personally haven't. This is the first time right now we're trading around $442, coming off of that 444 high. Are we going to continue in strength? I think so. Tesla, considering we were just talking about some sectors that may be emerging and could be potentially strong this year, we have the autonomous vehicles with Tesla and also the robotics, but growing competition in both of those spaces for this name.
Yeah, I just mentioned Tesla like a second ago there. I'm like, I don't love it. I don't hate it. I'll see what it does. I mean, what could we retest VWAP? We could retest VWAP, but again, I want to focus on strategies I like, and I do apologize because I know it's not as fun to watch, but I will always most likely be focusing on my slow-moving, spready children. So do apologize. Maybe no Tesla trading today. I traded Tesla like twice last Friday, so you guys have seen me trade Tesla. It's just not always my favorite thing to look at. Let's talk here about Google, though. Pathik and Vizbot, amongst others, mentioning in the chat here, guys, Google at an all-time high. I was like, okay, let's look at it. I don't love the tape action here as you try to break that 330.30. So nice confluence of threes there. Shout out to Obi. I do like this uptrend. I like this uptrend. Okay. But if we break the uptrend, then I might like it more. Okay, excited. I'm going to put Google on my side chart. Hi, Google. You're going to be my new friend? We'll find out. So here's the thing. There's an uptrend, but there's also something I actually tend to watch even closer. I like the 90 MA. The 90 MA can be really respectful. For example, today on Eli Lilly in the long in the morning, that was super helpful for me, that 90 MA action. The 90 MA action on Google here, look at how we bounce and then we bling to all-time highs. If we can hold the 90 MA and the uptrend, I kind of like that. But there's another option that I don't hate. Guys, what if we break below the 90 MA and then we bounce off the trend line and then we reject the 90 MA? So if we get that hyper-specific combination there, I will definitely, that'll be my Pokemon. I'll throw the Pokeball in it and I'll be like, capture it, and then I might try to take that trade. So that's what I'm looking at here. LMT is doing something spready tickers do sometimes, and it's called just hanging out. in like a 1 point range. So I'll talk to you guys about this. Also, okay, so fun fact, I want to talk about this because I'm incredibly proud. I'm going to be really honest with you guys. I'm really proud that I got that 543 fill. And I want to talk about how you get these types of fills in spready stocks. So what you have to do is you have to look at the spread, and I'm not going to use LMT. I'll use, because I'm still in this, I'll use Lily here, right? So kind of want to look at the spread and be like, if you're kind of use maybe midpoint, because that's usually where you can get filled the best on these spready tickers. What midpoint do I use? Like what price do I use where I'm almost guaranteed to get a fill? So if I'm looking here, 1079.15s is the bid. Oh, it's climbing. This could be a long here, guys. And then the ask here, and then it was a fake out there. The ask was like at the time 1080. So I'm usually going to try to go halfway between the bid and the ask to get that fill. So in the case of LMT, where I got my sweet, the 543, why I was able to get the 543 is because I think the ask at the time was like in that vicinity of 543. 20s, 30s, 40s, and the bid is around like 543.80. So I was like, okay, the chances of me getting that 543 are pretty high. So I put in there. So yeah, I mean, you kind of want to go in between where you're seeing the bid and the ask, then you have the best chance of getting those fills. Because sometimes these will go super crazy, and you really do have to be speedy with it. Now, Eli Lilly is doing something very fascinating here. I know I pulled this up as an example, but I actually like what it's doing. Okay, so we could do a couple of things. I've still mentioned that reversion long because I don't think that's impossible. But with the way we fake broke out with the bid creep there on that 1080s, I honestly maybe think we could this could be a short if we break below a new low of day. So let me pull up my handy side charts. And okay, so the level we need to break down here would be 1077. Where would I risk to? That's the issue, is the risk would have to be kind of wonky. Okay, you know what? I'll give it to 1080s because that's where we had the bid creep. So I'm risking, or sorry, yeah, that was a fake bid creep. So, and that's also the 90 MA, which we've been respectful of. So I know I'm risking like, $3. That would be excessive, but for a stock like Eli Lilly with the $1 spread, I don't think it is. So with that in mind, guys, I'm going to risk about 2-3 risk units, and I'm going to get short Eli Lilly, provided that I actually see some creeping down here into 1077. Because right now I don't see anything, but I want some time to stalk this stock and walk the walk. Ooh. That was a weird rhyme. Also, probably going to get stopped at LMT. I'm going to get short this. How are you doing?
We're doing pretty good. Ozan, I love you too. Don't worry about it, brother. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's Ozan. All right. A couple requests here in the chat, Adara, to go over some names. American Battery Technology. I mean, from a daily, it's looking pretty good. You've now broken through some prior resistance zones, heading towards a key pivot level around here of 496. The way that this daily price action is starting to form, I think that you can break these levels and head into that next zone, maybe 552, but be patient, right? You are starting to form a shelf. If this continues to act as support, so you can see we have that over-under style of a play, resistance now acting as support, break through that 505, and then you're going to look for that next zone of maybe around $6. So I like what ABAT is up to. As for CoreWeave, we had a couple individuals asking us to take a look at CoreWeave. We're going to do that right now for you, considering I'm still looking for more potential setups. SMR short was somewhat attractive to me, same with the APLD, but those confirmation signals have now been disregarded. All right, CoreWeave, $150 was that previous pivot high, now trading around $80, 47% to the downside. I mean, even more, guys. We high of around 187 to where we're currently trading at. That is not a good look whatsoever. How does that even make sense? Oh, 47 to 50. Okay, so yeah, at this previous pivot at 190, you're down 50%. From this pivot, you're down 47%. All right, so keep that in mind. I personally like the business, so let's see if you can get somewhat of a recovery. And if you look at other IPOs that happened last year, CoreWeave's holding up one of the best, so I think it can continue to do so, especially with the cloud spend amongst the hyperscalers and other emerging names. I think CoreWeave will be just fine in the long run, especially if you've been getting in and around those lows. Buying the tops is horrible. That's why you want to be extremely patient. Just to go through a couple more of those, Circle was another one. Look how much this name has came down since the IPO date. I mean, $63. You run right into $300 Adara, and now you're trading around 82%. So that's almost a 66% hair. That's more, 72% off of that specific level. Yeah, that is not fun, especially if you're an individual who's buying up here. Don't forget, guys, in trading, in order to make money, you are taking money from somebody else. So people buying up here just continuously getting destroyed in Circle. IWM, what has the small cap world been up to? A new all-time high here in the IWM Adara, $260. If we head over to the 5-minute, you can see that we are still hovering around just that 5-minute opening high, starting to slowly come back in. Now, as for my SMR trade, why do I want to potentially take a short on this name? We're starting to form a consolidation, but we are holding up relatively well. This is a strong up move here and just a single 5-minute print, but you can see the aggressive move to the downside. I know Obi had this short as well. So what I'm thinking is that we're just consolidating. If we do get a liquidity grab north of this zone right here, then maybe we'll look for some indecision prints. But if we have the inability to construct any form of a new pivot high, then what we have starting to form is lower highs. And I like that. If that trend breaks, you can have your risk profile relatively tight. At the break of that downtrend, you get out of dodge. So I'm looking at this as a potential consolidation, a 5-minute open below this 2070 level. That's going to add a little bit more conviction within the trade myself. The name is strong, so do we necessarily want to go against the trend? Maybe not, but I do like what we're starting to see here from a 5-minute standpoint, Adara.
I just added into VST again, VST breakdown. Let's, drum roll please, go. I want to talk about Google. I mentioned this uptrend on Google, and I was like, I mean, I don't know. I don't feel strongly enough about this either way. Like I said, my preferred situation is we break the downtrend, and then we reject the trend line, and then I short it. So we'll see here. Right now, I don't think I have a reason to trade this, so I'm not going to trade it. But let's talk about Eli Lilly, because I made a bit of a joke in the class. Wow, am I back in school? I made a bit of a joke in the chat, and for the handful of people in this chat who also were, children in like 2010, this chart reminds me of Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo by Justin Bieber, right? Like, she's indecisive. She can't decide. Like, literally, are you going to break 1079 or are you going to break 1077? Or are you going to do, in this case, neither? So I know I mentioned at the time that you guys last saw me, I like this better as a short because of what the book was doing. Right now, heck no, I much prefer this as a long, and I am going to actually get set up for that. So I like, you know what, I'm going to do the exact same thing I was going to, as I said, if it was a short, I was going to take 1079's risk to 10, or 1077's risk to 1080s. This case, I'm going to take 1080s, I'm going to risk to 1077's, and because that is a low of daybreak, I am going to risk the exact same amount, and now we're doing a bid creep. Now, the last time we did a bid creep at these levels, it was a fake out, and we didn't get what we wanted, so I'm going to be patient here. I'm watching that on my side as I pull up VST. VST is like $2 in the money from my initial entry, though, as you can see, I've averaged in quite a bit. I'm also going to change, so I'm going to take out about a third of the position here at that 168.80s. This is, again, a pre-market level. Now, why a third of the position? Because my initial order was to take out a third of the position, but my position was much smaller. As I've mentioned, I've added arguably way too much here into VST throughout. So with that in mind, the amount I want to take out is going to change too, because I don't know if we're going to bounce to that pre-market level. Lilly, you know what? We're going to get long Lilly. Part of me is like, I want to see us get above 1080 on the bid, but if we do, it's too late. So, okay, we're in. We're not in yet, but the order has been placed, and now I think I'm going to miss it. Okay, great. We got wicked in. That's perfect. I'm just going to put my stop here around 1077s. So we're going to wait and see what it goes. I'm giving this room, and I'm risking 2.5 risk units on this, which for me is significant. But with the action I saw in Lilly, I do feel like it warrants it. We're out of a third here of VST. So let's go. Here is Eli Lilly, and nice. So this is the funny thing with spready tickers too, and this is why, like, as much as I joke about dollar clubs here in the show, I think it's kind of hard to use them with these tickers, because like, you can be on the bid completely out of the money, or on the ask in the money, or vice versa, right? Depending on what direction you're trading. So always be cautious of that when I say stuff like that, which is why I try not to again. But here's Eli Lilly again. I am sized in decently on this. I want to see what we do at 1084s. That's going to be level I'm watching. Am I in any other trades? No, I got stopped out of LMT. Really happy with this stop. We break 90 MA. I say goodbye, good day to LMT. I don't know why I almost said like lost something. I don't know. It's not Las Vegas, although we are leaving Las Vegas here by saying goodbye to this year trade. Crowd, says Commodity King.
What is Crowd doing?
So CRWD is a stock that I have a little bit of beef with sometimes. I love this on earnings day one. But other than that, like, I'm sorry, I'm going to be honest with you. This is just choppy action. Yeah. The one thing you could argue is a flat bottom break, but the way it's moving, I don't even like that much. And I know this is low volume. You guys will be like, Adara, you love low volume. I don't love low volume on CrowdStrike. I have been burned too many times by CrowdStrike on low volume with slippage that it's just not worth it to me. And this is not a setup that particularly excites me. Hangry Wife apparently getting in with me. Okay, best of luck to us all. I don't want to, and I always get a little bit nervous. This is not advice. This is just my brain trying to come up with trades. That being said, I think the Lily long looks incredibly compelling here. So hopefully we can, make the millies with Lily. I'm joking, we're not gonna make $1 million in this trade, but we're gonna have a great time with you all. Here you are.
Absolutely. All right, guys. So we have a couple questions directed at both you and I here, Adara. When you draw a trend line, do you include wicks, and which time frames do you use? I mean, I use multiple time frames. Typically, I'm a daily. I'll look at the 30 and the 60 once in a while, but a daily 5-minute and a 1 minute is what I'm most comfortable with. Do I include wicks? It really depends. How many touches are your trend line going to have, right? I think 3 is standard. When you can add a little bit more strength, the more touches the trend line, the stronger it can be. Now, for me, it depends. A wick could be a potential whipsaw move. It depends on the body as well, too. Me personally, I'll disregard it at sometimes unless there's continuous that make me have multiple touches on that specific trend. If not, then I'm just going to classify it as a potential whipsaw move. Adara, I don't know what time frames you specifically like to draw your trend lines, and do you include wicks as well too, or no?
I absolutely include wicks, and I'll draw whatever trend line I'm trading on. Okay, with that in mind, Google breaking the trend line. Let's go. So that would be 329.60, risking up here to 330.20-ish. Yeah, I'm going to definitely take that. I want to get into this Palantir long potentially as well. So I have to add more order books to my side chart, guys, because there's just not enough. I don't think I'm going to get filled here in Google, but we're going to try to give this a little bit of room here with how I put my entry. There's a chance we get wicked into this, and in fact we do. There we go. Also, yeah, I just want to mention here too, I know I trade kind of aggressively and I'm looking at 50 things at once. I'm very comfortable doing that. But again, because it's the show, I'm also trying to be a little bit more cautious of, am I taking this just because I'm on the show and I feel the pressure to trade, or would I take this otherwise? This Google, I would take otherwise, though again, not always confident in my trend line abilities, so we'll have to see how this goes. But yeah, just back to why I use wicks when I draw trend lines. Because as Joe said, like that's where price touches. I want everywhere price touches. If I avoid wicks, like look, this is where the trend line is, and I just don't think that's accurate. So I'll go like here, and then I'm like, wait, move. And then I'm like here, right? So it's like, it's really choppy. I think the direction is the same, but I don't think the way it manifests is the same. And it's funny too, I remember, and you guys can laugh at me, when I first learned how to trade, I was using for prior bars, I was not using the wick. I was using the bar, like the bar open and close, which is just obviously, that's not an accurate way of doing it, right? So I do think the wicks are important. Wicks matter, and yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty wicked to make sure you include them in your trend lines. We might get stopped out of Google, but I'm not going to leave this trade until I've been proven wrong, and I'm proven wrong if we break above 330.20. With that in mind, this Palantir long I mentioned earlier does look kind of spicy. I might get in. Eli Lilly is Eli Chili over here. For the sake of transparency, I'm going to tell you guys where my first out is on Lilly. I mentioned that 1084. I don't love it. With that in mind, I want to take a piece out of 1084, but I'm only taking out a quarter. Oh my gosh, VST.
What's that doing today?
Sorry, I'm gonna dance
wicked
obnoxiously.
You know what Wicked is Good is from?
No. What is that from?
The Maze Runner.
Oh, I've not seen. I was not like a YA dystopian child. I'm gonna be honest
all right.
with you.
I love a good dystopian. I know Neil does as well too. So.
I know. I'm the outlier for that. But what are you maze running into right now?
I'm trying to maze run into some SMR.
Nice.
Let's see if we can get a little bit of a move here. I'm posted up at 2090s. That's right at the top end of this range, guys. Because if it breaks through 21, yeah, exactly. So. Essentially right here, you can see it's starting to come back in a little bit, but if this consolidation continues, then our chances of getting that fill at that specific level are relatively high. Where are we out? At $21. It's literally 10 cents worth of risk to play the breakdown, which can give you an additional maybe 40 to 50 cents. That's if we're fortunate enough to get in and have the exact entry that we would like. The Imitation Game's best movie. I've never watched that one. You guys know. Okay, we need to start dancing now? I mean, hey, man, we did enough dancing there in Mexico. All right, guys, let's get into some of these other names. I see Netflix starting to form some indecision prints, but I think I'm going to avoid that one right now. I want to stick to what I have on my chart. I told you guys there was a nice pop there, Gore, if you're looking, and Los Polios. Multiple indecisions right around the lows. Look at this one here on Netflix, and you're instant ITM. And that's what I like to see is when you get involved in something, it instantly works, and that's just going to give you a little bit more confidence within that potential trade. So once again, boom, you get that move higher, additional leg, you have the pullback indecision print, you climb, fail to establish a new high right now, and then right here, you're starting to see buying pressure step right back in on the lower time frames. That's something positive. Let's see if we can get somewhat of a rebound, because on consecutive sessions, I'm pretty sure 4 out of 5 days this week, Netflix right out of the gate has sold off aggressively. Sometimes it has rebound coming in with some more catalysts, but at the end of the day, it's still repeating the same thing over and over again. What is that telling me? It's a relatively weak name. Netflix has an uptrend line from the lows that it's trying to hold. Yeah, it is. It is. And now you're starting to form that shelf, Gorb. I don't love that. Why are you here today? Option strategies. There's a poll up here. Option strategies, long-term investing, swing trade setups, day trading ideas typically wins, but option strategies coming in at 32% there, Adara. That's looking pretty good. We'll take that, and we can talk some option strategies as well, too. I know a lot of individuals, we had the poll up, do you trade options or not, earlier in the summer. And substantially more people are trading options than I would have ever guessed here on the show. And I hope people continue to do so at the right place and at the right time. And then don't repeat what I did on my IBIT calls, even though we wrote a lot and mitigated that loss. I wrote in the chat, that was my greatest loss I've ever taken, aside from in my earlier days when I was investing in the Canadian cannabis names. But my IBIT contracts was the greatest loss I've ever taken trading ever, and I plan on not doing that again until we get substantially better, all right? So I'm being fairly modest as DJ. All right, cool. So heading back to our scan, guys, this post up at 2090s would have been nice. 14 cents it's giving us and heading right towards that lower end of the range. Maybe we can get one more bounce off this support level, but we also want to keep an eye on the volume in the price action. What is the tape telling us? Because if the bounce is too aggressive, maybe you blow past that trend line and then it's a continued move to the top side. But what we're currently looking at, I don't think that's necessarily going to be the case. And I was talking about a 5-minute candle opening up at the lower end of the range, and you're seeing that right now. So you get a slight open at 2077, and it looks like the tape is relatively weak. Let's get our quote highlights on here so we can see a little bit more on the book. It doesn't seem like 1,000 shares is that much. We'll put 500 up there, and then you can see the imbalance. A lot on the ask right now, but the steady ladder is definitely on the bid. All right, a nice little pop-up. Let's see if we can get an additional 5-cent pop and then head into our area where we are going to get filled. That is going to be exactly at 2090. But the defense stepping in once again. That's why the tape is extremely important. It can tell you a lot. And especially when you're trading momentum out of the gate, if you see clean flushes at the ask and above the ask, that is some strong signs of strength. And that's what you want to look for when you are playing those momentum trades. That's what Sharif's doing when he's with his small caps. A nice move to the top side. You can see that displayed in the time of sales.
Yeah, oh, sorry, yeah, hi. So I'm just looking at books and tape and being excited. Let's talk Eli Lilly. So Eli Lilly, and I had, where's my initial, I moved it lower because it wasn't working. 1080, how did I not get filled at 1083.44? Well, alas, I didn't. I had my order there. I moved it down a bit. We're trying to get filled right now around 1083s because I don't like it. I never find this to be a good sign. When you're like, I find it more happens when I'm long, but let's say I'm long a stock, right? I have my price set at a level that, for reasons on the chart and the tape, are a very reasonable level to set the price, the order. And I always give a little bit of room. I always step it down a bit if I'm long and step it up a bit if I'm short, because, just in case we don't get that level. But then what happens is we just kiss that level. We give it a quick mwah under the mistletoe, and then we go to the downside. So I don't like that Lilly did that. I also don't like that Lilly is struggling so hard to hold 1082s in a saleable way on the book, but I don't have a reason to leave yet. Now, the other question is, Adara, would you, are you, have you, etc., moving your stop here on Lilly? Now, I haven't yet. That being said, if I did, I liked the 90 MA to get me in. I would probably like the 90 MA to get me out. But again, the placement of that is really important because Neil has said this before, and I think this is a really good point and something I'm trying to get better at. Like, if you have, you don't always just want to use VWAP or whatever kind of technical indicators as your level, because A, those can move, and B, it's a little bit arbitrary. That being said, I feel like the 90 MA on Lily, especially if it's around that 1080, it's a bit less arbitrary in my opinion. So we're gonna have to wait and see what happens here. I am in 4 trades right now, and one could say, Adara, that's a bit nuts. And I think one would be fair to say that potentially, oh, we just got filled on Lily, let's go. We still have 3/4 of the position in there. And like I said, I am sized kind of heavy on this. So please just punch. Let's talk about Google. So Google here, this has got to be a fake wick because I did not get stopped out, and I do have a stop on Google. So I liked the short here, that 9, again, the 90 MA rejection, the trend line break. It might not work, that's fine. If it doesn't, I'm not gonna cry. I don't have a reason to leave until we break, in my opinion, still at 330.20. Palantir, I might have mentioned this. Okay, let's go. Palantir breaking out. So again, yeah, four trades here, guys. Palantir, I like that 178 kind of hold. I'm risking here to around the low of this consolidation. I do not want to take profit till 178.80. I am also sized double on this, so nicely sized in Palantir, very well sized here in Eli Lilly. VST also decently sized, but given that, you know, we've already taken a piece out of this, like just under half of this is out, so I'm, you know what I mean, it's a little bit less risk. Also, again, my average, I don't check my P&L or my average during the day, so I don't know for sure, but my average is somewhere around here, which I think takes a lot of the pressure off here with VST. Now, I do want to talk about something, guys. I know, trading a lot of stocks at the same time. Is this reasonable? Is this responsible? Is it tenable? I think for everything in trading, what works for you? What are you comfortable with? Now, I'm very comfortable letting my brain go 5,000 miles a minute, be it with you guys or internally in my own head. So I have no problem looking at multiple things at the same time, because I actually think it helps me, because I'm not making too many decisions on one stock. Instead, I'm making a reasonable measured amount of decisions on several. So that's why here I have 2 longs and 2 shorts. And with that in mind, I also want to address something I see a lot in the chat, and I think is kind of funny, but certainly well-intentioned. A lot of people assume I'm very short biased. Now, I think that's because a lot of my playbook strategies, at least when I was first starting to build my playbook, were I think probably 95% short setups. So I was taking a lot of shorts at that time when you guys saw me in the midday. That being said, I'm trying to develop more long reversion strategies, and with that in mind, definitely taking more longs. Google, probably gonna stop me out here, but do I care? No. Why? Because I took the trade I liked, I took the setup, I attempted it, and I can reflect on it later, but right now, I gotta make money moves. Yeah, Google, I would not move my stop at all. That's still the 15-minute prior bar high, so I fully stand by the decision that was made there. I'm not in LMT right now. I'm only in Palantir, VST, Google, although probably not for long. Out of Google here. Yeah, I know. Okay. Okay, I know. It's a lot of trades, guys. The point I'm trying to make is you have to do what you're comfortable with, what works for you, and you have to understand, I think, how your mind works. Because if you know your mind, you'll know what trading style will vibe best with your personality. I do apologize for all of the kind of random ranting that I do here. I hope it is feasible and makes sense. There was someone in the chat here, Mac, asking, I guess there's no small cap looks. If you guys have a small cap you want me to look at, please let me know. Unfortunately, I don't trade these a lot, so I'm not the best at it, but I do want to try. Someone asked me here about ServiceNow. Okay, we're gonna get a first pushback of the day. Whew! So ServiceNow abandoned me. It was a spready ticker. It was over $1,000, and then it abandoned me to do a split. I'm over it, kind of. But no, I love this setup, Joe. Like, look at this. We reject VWAP once. We reject VWAP twice. Lower high.
Boom.
Oh my God. Okay, I don't really have room on my side chart, but I'm gonna add a new one for that 142.10s because I really, really like this. So thank you to the individual who mentioned ServiceNow. I do want to mention as well here, Chris Arthur saying QBTS called and want to study your brain to make a quantum computer. My brain's not for sale, nor is it for research purposes. But no, thank you to QBTS, and thank you for the funny comments there for Chris Arthur. Yeah, guys, definitely tag me in the chat if you have any questions, any ticker you want me to look at. I don't want to talk too much all at once because I'm already yapping, so I'll send it over to Joe.
Please, by all means, do not stop whatsoever. All right, guys, so we're into some SMR right at the top end of this range, exactly where we want to be. But there was a little bit of strength within these 1 minute candles. I went to cancel the order, but it filled me immediately. So we'll be patient. Again, $21. We already know what our risk is, so there's no reason to fear it, all right? So we're going to wait for the lower end of the range, or we're going to get stopped out. If we're fortunate enough to be a part of that breakdown, then we're positioned well, right? Top end of the range. If not, $21 is going to be our out. The strength within the buying pressure was the only thing alarming. Now, there we go. We're almost there. See, that's why I wanted to cancel this bid and wait for a higher price. I have no issues with getting out exactly when I need to, and that's going to be the case right here, I think, in APLD. One more clean flush to the top side. We might be in a little bit of, I'm not going to call it trouble, trouble, but we will get stopped out. So be patient, and wait for those orders to either hit or you hit your targets, all right? So that's what we got going on right here. APLD, potential short, or sorry, SMR, potential short, looking for the break of 2073, and we're in at the top end of the range. This is the 5-minute here, guys. You can see a little bit more clearly, and this is what I want to display to you. So the consolidation, forming that shelf, but what we have kind of holding us up is the strong momentum that we've seen in the pre-market at approximately 6 o'clock this morning. Now, we could give it to 2010s at the top end of this range, but what we had is for over half an hour, we're just trading within that 20-cent range. So I like our chances exactly where we are as we start to slowly come back in on SMR, guys. So AAPL, once again, was my best trade of the day. We can pull that up for you. And we'll take a look at it right now and see exactly what I was getting involved with and why I decided to go long here. Now, as for OKLO, it was approximately this. So we had about 7 minutes of selling, and then the buying pressure slowly started to kick in. And I'm like, oh, this is my green light. Indecision print after the aggressive move, buying pressure. As soon as we opened up at the lower end of the range, I'm like, green light, let's rock and roll. Let's see if we can get this move higher and potentially test the wick high of the opening drive. We weren't fortunate enough to catch that, but we did get a nice move up into 114, and then eventually we did get stopped out break even, which is totally fine because we took advantage of it and we had a small percentage left. Now heading back to SMR, now trading at 2096, 2095s. I'm going to try this out a couple of times. I mean, it is strong, support levels holding. If we don't get that breakdown, 2 attempts, that's fine. We move on to the next thing, only a couple more pennies. We have the bid printing 96 and the ask at 97s, a couple clean more flushes. I wouldn't be surprised if we head into that $21 level. Can you take a look at Amazon? Absolutely, says Ask Red Bearded Warrior, as I keep my eyes on the trade that we have going on right now. Amazon doing Amazon things, Adara continuing its ascent to the top side. How far away are we actually from that previous pivot high on the daily, which would put us around that all-time highs of around $258. My guess is not going to be very much, 5% to be exact. And I was buying this name up in here, around 213s. You get that aggressive move, earnings report, boom, oh, you're coming right back down, and then now you're starting to find somewhat of a rebound. I think AWS is going to be the driver of this name. If that continues to grow at the pace that it's at, then I think that Amazon will be just fine. Joey, can you take a check on these props? Says Sports and Stonks. Props to you, my friend. We'll run through our scans one more time here, Adara, and see if there's anything attractive. Guys, also, it seems on the poll, a lot of option strategies. If you want to go over anything, we can talk about that, how to set up vertical spreads, how to set up credit spreads, whatever it may be, iron condors, which I think have been working relatively well. If we head over to the overall market, I think this might be my first glance on the day looking at the Qs. I mean, I'm trading AAPL and I'm trading SMR. I don't feel like that's a heavy influence on the overall market, so there's no need for me to get lost in the chop that yesterday we've seen on the TQQs. There goes SMR heading right back to the lower end of the range, Adara. That's exactly what we want to see right now. I'm not sized aggressively. I'm approximately 30% of my typical size. Why? Because we had a good day on OKLO, and I only want to risk X amount of my realized gains. And then if I were to lose all of that, then that's it. Done trading for the day. But if I'm going to add on top of it, then guess what? I can increase my risk as well, too. So there is the Qs. SPY, what have you been up to? Big spile. We don't know where he's been at either, Adara. So I wonder if he's listening right now. 693, a new high of the day. I'm going to guess that the financial sector is relatively strong today. Am I going to be right or wrong? JPM running into approximately $331.82. So not a horrible look whatsoever on JPM. I think this is a previous high of around 337. I think it's only a matter of time until we breach that level. I think the banks are going to be extremely strong this year, and that's why JPM is one of my picks leading into Monday.
You're spoiling your pick.
That's why, hey, it's no secret around these neck of the woods, Adara. I'll gladly tell you what my picks are.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still deciding on mine. I think one of mine might be a short, is all I'll say. But I want to talk here about LMT. So LMT is doing a thing that, yes, sure, spready I tried to say spready stocks and tickers at the same time. Spready tickers or spready stock, no, I'm joking. I think either way here, like there's something where sometimes a thing will get to a level and you're like, okay, this could break down. But then it keeps trying to hold the level. And then the one time you think, oh, it's going to hold again, then it ends up breaking down and then you kind of get chopped. I want to show as an example here what Costco did yesterday. Costco is a Nasdaq stock, Adara. And again, you can this probably works on every level, but I think it's maybe the most visible perhaps on spread. So if we go back to yesterday, Costco with 924 was an excellent example. So look at this 924 here level. Like it was clear resistance and breakout here in the morning. Then we serve as support and then we get a beautiful bounce here. Then I tried to take this short right here yesterday because I was like, oh, we're gonna break lower. No, it served as support again. Then you get some chop around 924, and then eventually we abandon it entirely. So that could be LMT's story here with that 538, 50s-ish level. I already mentioned that I used that level as the basis for a short earlier today. But yeah, the point I'm trying to make here, guys, is like, I think one thing I'm trying to work on, because I have an eidetic memory. I don't like, you know, I feel kind of weird talking about it, but it is what it is. And so with that in mind, I think there are a lot of ways that it benefits me for trading, right? Because I'm like, okay, like, you know, I can recognize that pattern. I've seen that before. I know what you do. I know how you work. But then I think sometimes too, you run the risk of being too reliant on it, or even less than that, not too reliant, but you use it too much and then you're like, oh, but that happened that time. So what if that happens again here? Like, I think what I'm trying to learn right now is to disassociate it from fear when it comes to trading and say like, oh no, worrying that happens again, or anchoring like, oh, well that stock was really good to me last day on earnings. So what, you know, it should do it again. I think the biggest thing I'm trying to like work on is isolating it where I'm only using it just to identify setups. With that in mind, I'm happy that I remembered that this type of like hold, reversion, or resistance support flipperoonie could be a bit dangerous, so I'm going to wait till I have more info. Eli Lilly, I have not moved my stop on yet. I want to wait till we get that most recent 15-minute candle. I might get stopped out, but I think I have a feeling it might kind of flip me out here. So let's see what happens at 1080, but also let's see what happens here with our friends at Origenics.
Ooh, concussion demand fast solutions. NYSE listed Origenics. OGen is developing one designed to reach the brain quickly and non-invasively. Learn more by scheduling a meeting today at OGen, guys. Go check out Origenics concussion protocol. But we are going to send you off to Neil with his lesson of the day.
Thank you, Joe. Hey, what up, Fabian? Chilling in the back. You've been living in the rafters all week long. Hard at work, making the studio look better than ever. So this morning, in the morning show, we had a bunch of, I'll call them rants because that's just kind of how I roll sometimes. And one of them is sort of describing how you think of a trade, where it's like, okay, well, I'm going to get involved in whatever stock, could be Apple, could be Tesla, could be Open Door, one of the ones I'll talk about here today, where I want to go in a certain direction. So let's say I want to go long, and I want to get in at price X or around price X, you know, and I want it to get to Y and Z before it breaks A or B or something along those lines. Like, and all of those things need to be defined. And that's easy to say in practice, but I want to sort of go over like what that means and how it can lead you to be patient and maybe in some situations get a trade where you might have missed it before, or in other cases allow you to get away from a loser by being able to frame it in that direction. And it all starts from your process. And for Open Door, my process was relatively simple. So I looked at the stock this morning. You were gapping finally above and breaking at $7, happened to be on a positive headline. So there's number one. So now I am looking long on Open Door because it is over this resistance at $7 on the daily chart. So I've done, like, there's step one. Step one is I'm looking long on Open Door. Okay, so we've got that one out of the way. Now, what are some of the ways that I would play it? I'm going to ignore the whole dip strategy because it didn't set up. However, it ended up in a breakout trade. So for myself, a breakout trade, there's that pre-market high. Our $7 level held, our pre-market high broke. There's one top. Now, at this point, it does a lower high, so this actually changes some of the litmus for me. Because when it pulls back holding the confirmation hold of view, if I might have missed a scalp trade in the third 3-minute candle, but when it does so, it puts in a lower high. Finally get in because it's holding that level. There's a confirmation, probably should have been long there, but I was spooked by that reversal candle. But then when it held green, I then entered, there is my stop, but I had this to contend with. One top, two tops, so scalp into that range, reload, because this is my line of support right there. Does it hold? Reload. This time, again, a little bit more aggressive with the out. Why? Because it's got this little downward wedge. Now I even set up something which I ended up missing. I ended up holding to the high. Why? Because it broke trend, should have been an ad, but then out at that prior top. The whole time, it's all, like the only reason I'm on that stock is because A, it's over 7 and I like it long. But if I just leave it at that, then where are my entries and exits? Am I buying it here and just putting a stop at 7? Am I buying it up here and putting a stop at 7? Am I buying, like what am I doing with it? Anything I could have said to you would have worked. Why? Because it never broke 7. But imagine a scenario where I'm just like, I'm buying all of this to hold for 7. So I'm buying 25s, 35s, 45s. I have an average price of $7.35. So I just buy it all. Okay, it works. What is my maximum win if I held it all morning? So I bought all of this indiscriminately with 7 as a stop without any entry strategy. I have 7.35 as a long with 35 cents worth of risk. It goes all morning long for me. Where is it now at 12 o'clock? 35 cents in the money. That's good, but that's 1-to-1. So it literally had to be perfect all half the day to be a 1-to-1 trade. And on top of that, if I employ that strategy where I just buy all of this indiscriminately with a stop way down here and just hold it, if I'm getting out in this range, in here like 45s, 55, 65, 75, then I'm not getting that 35-cent move. What am I actually capturing? Like if I'm taking it out into this range, starting at about, let's call it 40, then I'm getting out of it between 40 and 80. Let's say my average ends up about 60. I'm getting 25 cents worth of a move if I'm just layering out into the range while giving it that wide stop. Suddenly that trade is no longer 1-to-1. So if I'm indiscriminate with my entry with the stop way down there, I need to be winning probably 70 to 80% of the time that I take that strategy. I'm going to grant you probably 80% if you really think about how you would exit that as a scalp trader. But if you have a more precise entry plan of action that you stick to, then each one of these entries is risking 5 or 10 cents at most, actually less than that, because the stop is underneath like 18, and my worst price was 24. So I never risked more than 10 cents on the trade. And if you take, well, obviously I didn't get this one, but that's a fail on me. Just because I failed to execute and that was a miss on my part doesn't mean it's a bad plan. But there's an entry and then I have a VWAP exit as well. Again, relatively tight stop for the move that you're trying to gain. So when we talk about the notion of, well, what are you looking for in a trade? And I purposefully used Open Door for a reason. Could I have used, okay, fine. Could I have used SMR, which was like a perfect trade? I could have, but that does not illustrate the point. Makes me look good? No, just who the hell cares? It doesn't illustrate the point. The point that needs to be made in this situation is the difference between, in this move, having an execution strategy, and don't get me wrong, you could absolutely have an execution strategy that holds for the bigger move, captures it all with relatively tight risk. However, in this case, if it was blindly long in front of VWAP with a 7 stop, that doesn't work, risk to reward. If it was tight to VWAP with a 7 stop and all your entries are here and then you add there, I think that probably would work out very well. But that's the difference between being a trader. Okay, this is now just entirely my opinion. I find that to be, I just want to be a bit more precise. I find that to be the difference between a trader and a gambler. It's just my personal opinion on it. Having a reason for the actions that you make, or just sort of taking them willy-nilly. Like I'm just taking entries here because, I'm just taking exits here just because I can, because whatever. So if you can be a little bit more precise, regardless, maybe you want to hold longer, maybe you do want to have a wider stop, but if you can be more precise with your reasons for doing so, I think you'll be a heck of a lot better off. And to me, like it was almost perfect between Open Door and SMR to illustrate that point. Both very similar in terms of keeping tight risk on a single entry point. One was a huge follow through and the other was not. but they were both trades that went to the plan of action, at least for myself, with the exception of the ad that I didn't get there. So try to be a trader that has the goal to be a little bit more precise, to where you can explain the rationale behind what it is that you're doing, and it doesn't just seem like you're taking random actions. Now, you could have a great rationale and it looks random. That's fair. I'm sure that's entirely possible too. But as long as you can explain it to yourself honestly or to somebody else, then I think you're going in the right step. Because it does matter. Just because it would have worked buying indiscriminately in this entire range does not mean that if you do it 10 times out of 10, it's a profitable trade. And that's where a lot of people get trapped up, is it would have worked today, but the day that it, fine, you go do that and it makes a couple $100 today, and then you go do it the next day, it breaks the 7, and you, instead of making a couple $100, you lose 3 or 4. That's the problem I think most traders fall into, because I'd rather win 50 to 55% of the time and be green than win 80% or whatever, win 70, 80% of the time, but your blow-ups are so bad that you can't sustain them. So good luck, everybody. I can tell you, this time I actually have eaten lunch. The beef bolognese was solid, but we didn't get pasta. Like, we got, Obi has it, we got potato salad. It said pasta with the beef bolognese, but it's like a potato salad, so they kind of lied to us. Back to the midday. Good luck for the rest of the day, everybody.
Thank you very much for that, Neil. Adara, you're talking to me about some of your trades there. Well, Neil was giving his lesson of the day. Once again, thank you, Neil. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, thank you to Neil to that lesson. I just want to mention one part of it too, is like he said, I think that's something I'm trying to work on too. And I think I mentioned something to that effect earlier as well. It doesn't really matter what other people think of your trades, but do you understand why you did what you did? And that's what matters, I think, when you evaluate as well. Like, as Neil said as well, the results kind of don't matter. It's like, would you do it again? And that is something I want to work on in terms of how I evaluate my trades. With that in mind, I want to talk about Lily, because I added to Lily here. And this, to be fair, we might get stopped out, but I have to talk about why I added, because I am proud of myself for taking the action to add regardless of how this turns out. So what happens is I talk a lot here about sometimes the spread tries to fake you out. And with that in mind, I give my stops a lot of room. I gave literally what happens here. So my stop is I'll just say in this vicinity is all I'll say. And so what happens is, so I see this drop and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get stopped out. I look at the book, I'm like, okay, I might get stopped out. Then we get a massive push back up here to 1082. I add at 1082s, which is also a level I liked here. Again, now we're kind of topping around the 90 MA, so I'm not really sure. We'll see if I get stopped out here, but again, that's not the point. What happens does not matter. What matters is that I took the trade I believed in. We're seeing that green here in the order book. I assessed the book, I assessed the probabilities, and I thought it was the right call. I want to talk here about LMT, because I mentioned earlier too, with the whole conversation about my memory, where I was like, oh, well, I could get short here, but yesterday on Costco, that happened. And I'm like, kind of being a drama llama there, Adara. I don't really know if that's an accurate reason. That being said, I honestly almost like this VWAP breakdown a skosh better. So I would, if I switch to the 5-minute, hopefully you guys can see what I mean. Yeah, so look at this on the 5-minute. This kind of 539 area. I would totally take that 537 halves and risk to 539. So with that in mind, I'm going to set that little thing up on my side chart. My rule is I am allowed to take 3 red attempts in either direction. So I'm allowed to take 3 failed shorts or 3 failed longs on each stock in a day. Now, if I have some successful shorts or successful longs, that doesn't count towards that quota. Either way, though, I want to mention this because I've taken 2 red shorts on LMT. So this is the buck stops here. This is the last thing. So we're gonna have to wait and see how that works. I also want to talk about VST. That's the other stock I added to while we were gone, and I'm proud of this. So I added right here. Look at this little rejection, right? We get this push up here, and honestly, part of me was like, we're moving up $2. I should definitely take profit. And the other part of me was like, Adara, your stop is not there. So please calm. You don't need to be worried. So anyway, so I add here at the breakdown of that thing, 168, 169, risking to around 170s. And it worked. So I think the point I'm trying to make is there have been some conversations. I said this last week too, because this is something I do a lot. I don't think there's anything wrong with adding when you're extremely in the money. I also don't think there's anything wrong with adding when you are, when you've already taken profit on the stock. But does it make sense? Are there principles for your ad? In my case, there were. So that's why I did it. I've been yapping far too long. Let's go over here to our friend, Joe.
No such thing, Adara. I completely agree with you on the fact of adding into winners. I used to do that more often than not, I would typically use a method called free rolling. I had this hockey. So essentially what it would do is that you're extremely in the money, as Adara just mentioned, but you can add into this position, set a new stop loss to the point where you're only risking that unrealized gains, and it adds drastically into your position, especially if it's strong, the momentum is working in your favor. But what's working in our favor right now, Adara, is SMRs is continuing its breakdown here at 2069. Once again, only risking 10 cents. We wait for that 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio to come into play before we take anything off. Now, 2065 is going to be ideal, but there's buyers stepping right back in on multiple occasions. And something that I have to be slightly cautious about is look at this, guys. An a hammer candle on volume right below some key support levels. And twice we've had some pops off of that zone. I didn't take too much off, only 25%. To leave the rest as a runner, but SMR working for us so far, and at this point I have to go to break even. If it does come back to the top end of this range, yeah, we give back a little bit of our unrealized gains, but we did lock some in, and we're sticking to the game plan. 2 trades today, 2 for 2, and that's what I was trying to aim towards, is just less trades, higher accuracy, and that's more of my style, Adara, to be honest with you. Yeah, so I game plan in the evening time, I go over some charts, and then those things can change, obviously, leading into the open. Look at that strong pop there. See that, that hammer candle. Oh my God, I wish should have took a little bit more off. Got to listen to what price is telling you. There's multiple things telling us, hey, we might see an extended move to the top side here in APLD. So a nice pop on some increased volume on the 1-minute time frame, and then now you're heading right back in towards the higher end of the range. I'm not going to take some off. It is what it is. I'll just be patient and wait for another opportunity. We took 25% off of this one. We'll document it. We'll write it down. We have our notes. We're obviously going to keep it within our documents via trades and everything along those lines. So that's
an awesome help.
Yeah, I was posted up there at 2070.
But that's like, it wicked, it swiped
It wicked, yeah, it wicked aggressively.
That's
and I'm
awesome.
like, hey, anything below this, because again, Adara, just going back to pattern recognition, so many times I've seen you make those breakthroughs on the support. What it is essentially is just liquidity grabbing the longs, and then sure enough, if you have your stop too tight right at 2075s or 2070s, it licks you out, and then sure enough, it puts in an aggressive bounce. So that's a little bit of the bamboozlement within the market. But at this pace, considering we're starting to see an increase in the volume profile, I would not be surprised if it comes back to my break even. Yes, we get stopped out of 75% of the position, but we were able to extract a little bit of gains here on SMR. If we're fortunate enough for it to come back into the zone, next spot is going to be at 2065. So let's see if sellers can step back in. One thing to note here is that we're starting to see some displays of strength on the 5-minute time frame. So as I start to increase the interval in which the candles are printed, we're starting to see a little bit more buying pressure. Let's head over to the 10-minute to see if we see anything identical. Yeah, same thing here, guys. So be cautious. You might get a break of that specific level, and if you do, maybe it's a flip long. I'm not going to flip that quick, so I'm going to stick to my original thesis and see if that's going to continue its breakdown. But as of right now, not looking overly promising, Adara.
Yeah, I'm going to talk here about NBY. Keep in mind, I am not a small cap person, so take this how you will. But you know what anyone can do is look at price action and hopefully understand. So I think, honestly, Bubba was asking about resistance. I looked at the daily chart. I saw nothing of the sort. I think with this, the type of thing you want to do is you want to look at the 90 MA because it's been respectful. You want to look at VWAP potentially as well. But I think, truthfully, on this, if you break the 90 MA and or 1330, I think it's kind of DOA at that point. I'm going to be honest with you, at least for the time being. Why? Because look at this double top resistance here at 1320. Then we break out really steadily. That's aggressive green candles on the 3-minute. So, and the 90 MA, honestly, I don't think it'll come in direct confluence with that 1320, but I think either of those levels, those are the levels that you need to see. So that is just my opinion as someone who trades maybe the opposite of small caps. So I just want to let you guys know about that. I just got out of my Palantir long. You might be like, what? Adara was long Palantir? Ooh. I know, I forgot to mention it, guys. I think I mentioned it when I first got in. Oh, yes, BST, go lower. But yeah, so Palantir, what happened here was I liked this little cup breakout. I didn't take any profit here because I didn't think it was worth it. I wanted to wait till up there, actually even in the 179 halves, which is what I liked on the 15-minute. But either way, I kind of see this chop area. I move my stop. I get stopped out. And here the thing is, we might bounce. It's very possible we'll bounce. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'll get back in. I don't feel that strongly about it. And the fact that I kept forgetting to mention it also probably tells you enough about how much this trade really mattered to me. Let's talk here about Google.
Did you have a specific target there?
Yeah,
to the top side on Palantir?
I was thinking like 179 halves because I looked at the 15-minute and I was like, okay.
Oh,
so
170, and you were long at 176 approximately?
170, almost 178.
Oh, okay.
So, so it wasn't bad.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's not bad.
My thing is, and the thing is too, is I would rather wait for profit targets that might seem unrealistic but are possible rather than just, you know what I mean, like trying to take out profit the second it shows up.
Yeah, exactly.
That's just kind of the opinion that I'm of. So I'll mention this here. Google, it's hard to see because of this, what is this called? This dark pool. But I actually really like it here. If we break that 329.30s, which was the low last time I was short, I'm going to risk here to 330.20s. So I would be giving this about $5 of risk, roughly same area that I risked to last time, because look, this is a lower high. And yes, I know, Adara, we triple topped Google. It's at all-time highs. I agree. But I think I have to be honest here. I have to weigh the risk and rewards. I have to triage the situation. And as I triage, I am truthfully of the opinion that this is, if anything, I think this has to break lower for now. So we'll see what happens. I want to send it back to Joe, but I just want to let you guys know I did get stopped out of Lily. My friend Lily did stop me out. And I'm sure there was some, we got stopped over profit though, so all good. Not that that matters, but you know, just a note there. Yeah, so I got slipped like 50 cents here, not bad. But yeah, I mean, I think this was a fair area to put the stop, that area just shy of 1081s. We kept using it as support. The support stopped as was such. The buck stops here. How are you doing? We're
doing pretty good there. I know you're in VST, right? We're in the same space. Yeah, we're in the same space. So, you're short though. That's correct. Yeah, VST. Okay, so yeah, I don't even know why I'm asking. I can look at right there on the screen. We're getting a breakdown across the board in OKLO, SMR, and VST. So this has been working out relatively well for us. We take some more out at a 2.5 to 1. Now you're at 3 to 1 essentially. So a nice little move from 2090s and a breakdown of the key support levels there in SMR. Why APLD rejecting to go low? I mean, it's been strong. Don't forget it reported earnings Wednesday after the bell. And it wasn't horrible, right? Like they come in on a double beat. I believe it was 10 cents. The street was expecting 0 EPS. It came in at 10 or something along those lines.
No, it was the opposite. It was expecting 20-cent loss. It came in like a couple cents.
Okay. Yeah. So and then also a beat on revenue as well. APLD has been on an absolute monster run. You don't want to stand in front of these freight trains, right? A steady uptrend. That was just obviously a rough draft right there. But these are the names, and you want to correlate your intraday trades with daily. Ask yourself, is the short going to be aggressive on APLD today? If you ask me, the answer is going to be no right off the get. I understand that on yesterday's session, you push all the way up to $35, but it doesn't look like that's going to repeat itself considering you get that gap up and that go type movement. So sure enough, 37.01 is your high of the day. You do get somewhat of a pullback, but regardless, the name is extremely strong. Look at the daily candle. And if we were to head over to even lower time frames like the 30, etc., this can be somewhat of a short signal, but there's still buying pressure within these price action prints. Now, you may be fortunate enough to get a move down to the volume weighted average price, but I think you have to be patient with that. And as soon as it starts to break some of these highs, I would be looking to get out of Dodge and not participating in such a strong name and looking for that short. Now, I get it. You say, Joe, well, SMR and the whole nuclear space is relatively strong today. But price action from an intraday standpoint is telling us we have this consolidation. You may not get that extended move to in which where we actually broke out and had that 5 minutes of strength, but we're starting to get somewhat of a move here, and we'll head over to the daily and see what we can get going on. A gap up. Now look at the daily, right? It starts to climb a little bit higher, heading towards a key pivot zone at 2332s, but then starts to come back into that gap zone there. Adara, what do you got?
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you. I just want to take a moment to thank our friends at PDS Biotechnology, trading on the Nasdaq, as you guessed it, PDSB. They are transforming how the immune system targets and fights cancer, with initial focus on HPV-16 positive head and neck cancer. HPV-16 can cause head and neck cancer, and more people are facing these high-risk cancers than ever before. HPV-16 positive head and neck cancers are projected to become the most common type of head and neck cancer in the U.S. in a few years. How do you learn more? Check out https://www.pdsb pdsbiotech.com/. So that is a thank you to our friends at PDSB. Did not mean to cut you off there.
No, no, not at all, not at all. So yeah, essentially what I'm getting at, guys, take a look at the daily and see what it's up to. If it's green, try to go long. If it's red, try to go short. It's that simple. I'm gonna, like, again, it's obviously not as simple as I'm putting it, but don't complicate your day and just try to go with the flow. I think that's gonna make your life significantly easier here in trading. But as for SMR, guys, I am now sitting on about 40% of the position. We were fortunate enough to get a 3-to-1 here as we pieced some out at a 2-to-1. Once again, only risking 10 cents up to 21s. We take some off at 2070s. We're fortunate enough to get some at 2065s and then a clean flush down to 2060s. I agree, Big Joe. Yeah, 100%, brother. It's just, again, it's not going to work all the time, and it's not that easy. But if you're just putting yourself in at the right place at the right time, after you jot down all your notes, you go over your review. It's like, hey, what was the daily telling me? Was I counter trend or was I not? We do it a lot typically here, but we're also trying to correlate it on multiple time frames, and I think that's extremely important. 2076 on SMR. Some indecision prints starting to form here on OKLO, but I know Neil and I think Adara would wait for this trend line break because this is an aggressive move in OKLO to the downside. So I don't know how you feel about some of these nuclear names, Adara.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the one, I'm in VST. The other one I would look at is another spready child, and it would be CEG. So that would be CEG. CEG is doing a whole lot of absolutely nothing, so I'm not going to be involved in this. I do want to mention here GeoOGL. So I want to thank Ian Gantner. We were having this conversation in the chat because he was like, stop yapping and take the short. Here's the thing, and I think I did this already today on a stock.
Is that what he told you?
Yeah, like quite literally. And so I have no issue with literally taking a fill like while I'm talking. I will fully do that, and I have done that already today. But here's the thing. I'm happy I waited on Google because I don't think it's a short yet. So I said I wanted to wait for 329.30s because and I wish this chart was a bit clearer. Yeah, okay, there we go. This is a bit better. So 329.30s is like right here, right? So look, this is the level I wanted to wait for. That was resistance. Then it serves as support. Then it serves as support yet again. So I don't think the 329.60s is what I want. I want 329.70s. I want 329.30s. As of right now, I think it was right to wait. And to be clear, like, and then I think you responded like, oh, like the short is on. I don't disagree. The short could have been on if you were shorting it from 329, 330s, right? But again, I think, like, what was your plan for the trade? My plan for the trade was not that. And I'm not trying to come and be aggressive like a little pit bull. I want to make that clear. But I think it's a good conversation to have to kind of go off of, you know, what I was saying earlier and some of what sort of what Neil was saying as well in the lesson of the day. What is your specific plan? Can you justify it? Does it make sense to you? For me, I don't think I could necessarily justify shorting Google until that 329.35s, which is why I wouldn't and why I haven't. So again, I'm not trying to be like all aggressive. I'm just trying to be honest. And I just want to, because I think, can you explain it to yourself? I think in my case I can. And I've been in cases before too where I'm like, oh, well, it's not the exact level, but it's like a slightly lower high. And it's just never gone well for me because I think it is still a bit chasey or reverse chasey.
If you don't mind, if I can chime in on this here.
Yeah, for sure, please do.
With names like Google and obviously some of the stronger tech names and even just strong stocks all around, I just, at times, unless something is like, you absolutely need to take this trade, not kind of in that gray area, I try to make my life a little bit easier by just not even thinking about shorting it at all.
Right, unless it really gives you
Unless it's like, hey, Donald decides to tweet something, you see the volatility step into the market, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, let's take the continuation to the downside. But for me, I just want to make my life as easy as possible because we know that trading can be a daunting task at times, and it's just like avoid those extremely like iffy gray area shorts like Google and Robinhood. I've tried to short Robinhood multiple times, and I'm like, what am I doing?
Oh my God, I hate Robinhood. I've never traded Robinhood successfully ever.
At intraday, ever. I've owned it in the long term. But from an intraday standpoint, I don't think I've ever had a successful, I shouldn't say that maybe, but nothing substantial
I know
whatsoever.
I haven't. So.
Yeah. So here it is, Gorev, you're saying 1 minute, brother. I don't see anything, right? Like, this is what I got right now on the 1 minute holding through that support level zone. So I'm not seeing anything that you're saying, hey, how do I not see that? This is what my chart's displaying me. If I head over to the 5 minute, the exact same thing. Like, we could talk about this being a solid trade here. If you're gonna buy any form of dips, it's probably gonna be in Robinhood. But yeah, on my 1 minute, it's not giving me anything. Also, I need to know what time frame you're on. 3 minute. Gorev, specify the time frame. Now I see exactly what you're looking at. A nice little pop there in Robinhood, guys. Let's run through our scanner and see what else we got. APLD did run right up into 2085s, then rejected aggressively down to 2063s. You guessed it. Our next out is going to be at, yes, 2055. So another half hour there. We'll see if we're fortunate enough to get that zone, but I'm also prepared to punch out break even, and that's going to be at my 2090 level. Now let's run through a couple of names. Oh no, what is this name doing? All right, a small recovery off of the lows, but let's kind of go back here. We're going to go to a higher time frame so we can see a little bit more clearly. We'll go over to the 30-minute. But 1 session straight to the downside out of the open, 2 sessions straight to the downside out of the open, 3 sessions straight to the downside out of the open. Darren, you guessed it.
4.
4 in a row. And it gets 1 day to the top side, but then on the Friday, once again, clean price action to the downside in Netflix. So if you're shorting something out of the gate, it might be an FLX. Now, let's start to go down the line here. The top of the list and the most volume here this morning is going to be INTC, and rightfully so. Mr. Trump saying that he likes the name and the stock pumps.
Yep.
All right. I mean, if it's that easy, then by all means, continue to do so. Now, as for SLV, guys, on the 5-minute time frame, slowly starting to come in off of those highs, but just sticking with strength. Like, if you're going to put your money where your mouth is, I think silver isn't a horrible play. At this pace, look, the stock is essentially moving down and putting in green sessions, Adara. This is insane.
Wow.
That just is signs of immense strength. Like, look at this. You go from a high of $73 and you bottom at 67, but every single day was green. Insane stuff. So gap down, buyers stepping right in around the open. Now let's continue our move a little bit lower. You know that we're trading AP. Actually, we haven't traded APLD, but I'm a big fan of this name. Tesla, what have you been up to? Putting in a new HOD Adara at 445, so not a horrible look whatsoever. SPY around the high of the day. So again, let's head over to some of the sectors momentarily after we get back from Adara, but this is what we're involved in, so no need to talk about this. But Rocket Costs, someone mentioned this name this morning, and then it's also popping up on our scanners, 2332. A new high of the day on this name. On the daily, look at this breakout of this key pivot there, 2254, and a strong bullish momentum session.
You know why that's moving, right? That's in sympathy with Open Door and them because it's a mortgage play, and Trump said the $200 billion in mortgage bonds. So that's kind of why that's moving. I do want to mention, thank you very much to Scott in the chat here, basically saying that, that Bostic's talking, so thank you very much, Scott. I do apologize that I missed the Bostic speak. It's hard to do news and trade and talk to you all at the same time. But yeah, Bostic saying that he believes, quote, that inflation is a lot above the 2% target. So he has been kind of on the more hawkish side of these Feds lately. Let's talk here about Google. Google is doing something that is kind of interesting here. I still like the Google through 2930s breakdown, and I will take that if that is the case. In fact, I've already set up my order, so all I just have to do is punch when it comes in. And I also want to shout out Ian again in the chat for that conversation. I really do appreciate that back and forth. And I also have to shout out the individual a while ago here, and I do apologize, I don't remember who it was, who mentioned ServiceNow to me. And I initially was like, I think ServiceNow is a dope short. But then ServiceNow started doing something a bit interesting. I now think ServiceNow is a breakout long because we have these lower highs. I get that. We have the flat bottom. Another indication that, hey, Adara, this is arguably a short. But then we get, I like when we kind of are starting to hold a slightly higher low. So I'm risking to this higher low. If we break below that level, I don't want any smoke. I want nothing to do with this name. However, if we stay above it, I'm fully going to stay in. I will definitely take off at least half at VWAP, and I'm decently sized in this, so But I want to hold at least a piece for the dream for these other levels. I don't even know if we'll get to VWAP. Who knows? But if we do, I want to be involved and I want to be there. VST, I'm still risking here to that vicinity. I mean, it's structure. I'm just using structure risk. I was trying to use 15-minute bar risk for this, but then I didn't think I was giving it a fair amount of room. So again, structure risk here. Let's see what we do in that vicinity here.
Do you have a specific target? Is that just a partial, a percentage that you're going to take out?
Yeah.
And then you have a primary?
I've already taken out some pieces. I don't like to do full position targets because I find it kind of hinders me. I'd rather take out a piece and then wait for my stop to get hit.
And just leave some from a runner and
always
see go with the flow.
That's kind of what I
point.
do. Yeah.
All right, cool. Sounds good. So yeah, guys, let's head right back in and see what we got going on. So you can see the chop that we're sitting in here with SMR. Nothing to worry about. It looks like it wants to continue its breakdown, starting to continuously form these lower highs. So if we do sit on the backside of this trend, then we have to be prepared to get out the remaining 40% of our position, and that's totally fine. 55 is going to be our next target out, and then sure enough, 50s, 45s if we're fortunate enough to be still within the trade, and then by around 45s we'll be out of the majority of it, if not all of it, all right? So let's see what else we got going on, guys. If you want to go over any options activity, we have yet to do that today. Let's actually take a look at SMR and OCLO on the options chain to see if there's somewhat of an increase in activity. I also have to keep an eye on what we got going on, considering 2090 is my out. Now, heading to today's expiration cycle, guys, look at that volume really stepping in at 20s. So, I mean, this is starting to make a little bit of sense. So we're holding up, and then at 19s, you have a little bit more of a wall there. So is there a call wall at 7, or put wall at 17? So if it even were to tank around that neck of the woods, then I would assume that you're going to get somewhat of a bounce. I think that's going to be the case right now in SMR. We'll head over to the January 16th expiration cycle. And then sure enough, you're seeing in the $22 and the $23 marks, a lot of volume starting to kick in with 23,800 contracts right there and 23,000 contracts at 22 and 23. Now, as for OKLO, and we'll go over Adara's VST as well in the options chain to see if there's any substantial activity. OKLO, look at the IV increase, guys. It's not a good time to buy. That is the time to sell, in my opinion. It's the same thing with SMR. Increase it in volatility. Just start writing some things that are extremely higher in price, whether you're using your delta as your percentage metric in which it will expire worthless. I think that's a pretty good gig right there. Speaking of it, oh, you're not, okay, that's expiring today. So if you head over to, like, say, January 14th, 14 days from now, and we head over to our 10 delta to see what we got going on, if you're just a flat-out writer, that's not horrible, right? 1040, this is OKLO, so 145, you're collecting $85. There's no real call wall or anything along those lines, but you have 2 weeks until this expires worthless, and you'll collect a little bit of premium. Look at that increase, $10 just like that, Adara. That was yeah, it did actually, $10
wow.
Just like that on the delta, which is actually insane. So you will be collecting $85. So that's a nice little bit of a move. Now, as for VST, let's take a look at Adara's name to see if there's been a drastic increase in implied volatility. Yes, and you're sitting around 90.5%. But as for the options activity, relatively cool. January 16th, once again coming into play with an increase in options volatility. $210, that's 5,610 current open contracts a day.
Yeah, thank you for going over that. I appreciate that. I think right now VST is just kind of chopping around. Like I said, I don't have, unless the structure changes, I don't have any reason to move my stop or leave. Let's talk here about Eli Lilly. So Eli Lilly, and like I said, I've been sizing pretty heavily on each Eli Lilly trade, and I think a lot of that is because what I'm trying to do is take less trades, but then take more size on the ones that I like. So that's kind of what we're trying to do. That's been kind of mixed effect, or so far, I'm going to be honest with you, but new year, same Dara, slightly different approaches to trading, hopefully. So, like I said, I still like that 9 EMA area as an area of risk, more or less here for Lilly, though I'm risking, I think, a little bit below that in this case. But yeah, basically, I liked the order book. I liked how we're trying to break below that 1070 halves level. I think this is a nice area of risk there. Where am I risking? Yeah, okay, that's fine. So again, these whisks on P8 are not always the same as the whisks that I'm using on my side chart, so I kind of like to make sure. But yeah, I think I fully expect that I could potentially be stopped out of this, and that's totally fine. But again, I think unless I see a nice reclaim area of that 1079 level, I don't want to leave, so I'm going to stay here for the time being. I am decently sized in this. I'm not taking any profit till 1070, which ironically I didn't even realize that is literally the dark pool wick low, but that's not why I liked it. You know why I liked it? Because that is a level, and I'm going to zoom out here on the 30, and I'm going to go zoom, 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 zoom. So yeah, as you can see here on the 30, that's a support resistance level. So that's why I like that. That is the reason I like it. It doesn't have to do with the dark pool, but I think the fact that the dark pool is exactly where my profit taker is. Interesting little confluence. Dear Adara, would you consider buying Novo? Says Urso. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like I don't like trading Novo, Nordisk. I'm going to be honest, intraday. I'd rather take Lilly all the way. I don't find Novo to move that cleanly. I don't know if you mean intraday or long-term. Intraday, let's see what we do at VWAP, but I think we maybe could reject because this whole chart's been kind of topsy-turvy. I'll look at the daily chart, though, because again, I'm not quite sure what time frame you want to look at, so I want to make sure I'm doing all of the due diligence. The daily on Novo is not too bad. I would like to see, though, because today, as you can see, we rejected that prior area of resistance at 61s. I want to see us stay above 61s. That's my goal here for NVO if I were to do anything with that long term. Really quickly, before we head back to our friend Joey Options or Joey Diamonds or whatever nickname is being used du jour, I wanted to talk here, not Lily. Hello, Lily, you're still doing your thing. I want to talk about LMT. So LMT... This VWAP, I thought we were going to get a VWAP breakdown. I think I mentioned it at the time. And then I was like, well, I think this could be a VWAP breakout. And I'm a little bit disappointed at myself for not having the confidence to take that 539 level breakout. But like, it wasn't perfect. I was like, well, we still have lower highs leading into VWAP. I should have taken it. I will fully admit that was a regret, and we don't have regrets over here. Shout out to We're the Millers. We just learned from it. So I think the thing I realized that was stopping me was fear. But here's the thing. Should I be afraid of a losing trade, or should I be afraid of not taking advantage of the opportunities in the market? I think that I should be taking advantage of opportunities. I think that has to override any emotion that you have in the game. So I just want to mention that. Lily, right now, on the bid is working on the ask. We're like flat. Again, it's always going to be a bit different with spready tickers, which is why I don't love to, do like however much in the money. That's not always the case. Thank you to Urso for the kind words. And Intel apparently at $45. So yeah, I mean, we're going to hopefully have some intelligent thoughts on that. Service now stopped me out here as that attempt at the long. That being said, like I still like this as a short initially, so if we come back down here and break low, I might consider a short. I get why I tried the long. It was doing some, I like doing some AV WAP analysis too. It was doing okay on that. The point is it didn't work. And, maybe it was worth a try. It's also, like every trade, something I'm going to analyze after the bell. And knowing me, just think about constantly on my walk home and while I'm living my life. Because you got to be constantly doing that analysis. As Lily continues to go to the downside with an ask creep to boot. How are you doing, Joe?
Pretty good. Just writing a couple things down here based off of SMR. Mike Peter Ryder was like, hey, he's working on some options. He's learning options. He's doing his due diligence. He's taking a course. And he said something that was really, really key. Is just the fact that he's like, yeah, I'm starting to understand the lingo. And that's really all it is. It's just a different language within the market. Like, you have to take into consideration everything is derived from an actual stock. But the way that I like to look at it is just picture driving your, again, there's nothing wrong with these vehicles or anything, but going from a Honda Civic to a Porsche, right? It's just like essentially an amplifier.
Yeah.
Pardon me, you get what I'm saying? Like, it's just like, hey, it's essentially the same thing. It's just you touch the pedal, it's a little bit faster, and there's a little bit more features, and the language is different. The handling is a little bit different. But at the end of the day, it's 4 wheels and a steering wheel, and that's essentially what options are. It's just a product that has a bunch of terminology that you need to get familiar with, but it's almost the exact same thing as the stock in itself. They're not as complicated as some people think they are. I thought it was. I was like, oh man, I'm reading up on this stuff. What is going on here? But all I did was just watch continuous videos, read books, and then sure enough, it's like, okay, you have somewhat of a background in understanding what the market actually is. It's going to make it so much easier to actually understand the derivative of options, right? It makes things a lot more simplistic. I appreciate that, Angry Wife. So we take a look at Nail. Yeah, absolutely. We'll go through that, but don't fear them. Again, I asked Obi what fear stands for, and it's face everything and rise. So if you feel like you don't understand what's going on, just read up about it, especially if you've been trading for some time. You're going to understand it relatively quickly. There's only so many terms that you can learn essentially in options, and sure enough, the more familiar you get with it, then the better off you will be. Doesn't mean you have to trade it, but it's good to know because you can use them as people talk about intraday indicators like your moving averages, your volume weighted average price, et cetera, et cetera. Options can be used as the exact same thing. That's all it is. It can indicate and it's not going to dictate, but it can show you, hey, we have supply here. It's almost an in-depth look at your level too as well. So what covered call would I write on Netflix? Say 28 days. Yeah, I think that's a good timeline. Typically, that's what you're looking for. 30 days, 2 weeks for me personally. That's what I like, but just be careful because when you are writing around a week out or even 2 weeks out, you're going to start to see an increase in your gamma. Gamma is really, really important, right? So that's where you can get wicked out, and you'll see the drastic moves leading into the week of expiration and even 2 weeks into expiration, all right? 45 put on INTC says $1.65. Honda every time, says Dr. Shuttle. That's fine. Honda over Porsche? I don't know. Or do you say Porsche? I don't know how you guys call it. So 5 minutes NVDA. Let's take a look at what we got going on there, Gore. We'll head over back to our scanner. I know Los Polios tagged us in that one to see what we got going on. Yeah, it seems like we're in a little bit of a choppy mess here with the SMR and VST, Adara, because we head back to the top end of the range, we head back to the lower. We haven't got that breakdown in which we are looking for. So we'll be patient and continue to hold on to this position until otherwise. Either we get stopped out, break even, or we just run out of shares. It's that simple. Now, as for Netflix, yeah, you're starting to see somewhat of a recovery here, guys. A consistent higher low, that's something positive. But if you ask me, the price action is relatively weak. We went through an example the other day in which was like, hey, watch out for the slow curl over. I'm not saying that's necessarily going to be the case, but there's not very much buyer stepping in, holding price north of this resistance zone. So you run it right into that $89 brick wall, and then sure enough, you come right back down. Eventually, one party is going to lose. Now, as for NVDA, sorry, Loss, I forgot to kind of do a little bit of an analysis on this one. Chop fest, a lot of chop, and we do not want to be a part of that. Now, as for AMD, let's take a look at what it's been up to. Relatively stronger, so not too bad of a look whatsoever, but we are substantially off of those previous all-time highs. I mean, this thing was lagging for quite some time. You're down 22%, so that's official bear territory there in AMD, Adara.
Yeah, so I just want to let you guys know I did get stopped out of VST, and it actually slipped me like 20 cents, which is crazy. No. But I could tell, I said I want to see a change in pattern. I saw this kind of scoopy action, and I was like, I don't want to be, I don't want it to get above that. So we do get above that, I got stopped out, that's fine. Eli Lilly. Also, and I put this in the chat, I was like, dear goodness, Eli Lilly, what is your order book? We had like a 1078 ask, we had like a 1076 bid. Now, I have no issue with a $2 spread. I have no problem with that. I'm in fact traded with wider spreads, but I'm like, makes sense. Like, we're moving in a way that makes sense. So I'm like, right now it's not, I don't necessarily love that. I do though, at this point, I don't think I really want to get out of the trade. I also want to address something because I am short Google, though it's not showing on the position board. And I actually checked because it wasn't showing, and I was like, am I in this trade? But I am. I am short Google, 239.40s. So let's go, Google. Let's see what happens here. I want to see what happens here at VWAP, but I don't even think I'd take anything at VWAP. I kind of want to see how we interact. If we get that break, let's see how we shake. Yeah, like I said, I got stopped at that service now short, and I think the only reason I have to be, long, and the only reason I have to be upset about that is like if I'm trading like on results, which I'm trying not to. But like I said, I still like the idea of that short if we break that 142.10s. If we do, I'm absolutely going to short it. But where would I risk on service now? You may ask someone. This is tough because I do think you have to give it like a point, which is it's not bad, but I'm a lot more willing to risk a couple points on like an Eli Lilly than I am on like a $150 stock. Do you know what I mean? It's like you gotta keep it in perspective. So if the position board comes back up, I'll let you guys will see here for Google, but I am involved here in Google. So Notorious Dingleberg asking, would I prefer the leveraged Lilly tickers over the main? I would not, because I like my spread and I like to be involved in these moves, and I'm kind of used to trading them in that way. But thank you very much for letting me know what they are. And for people who want to know, they are LLX and they are LLYX and LLYZ. So there we go there for, thank you to Notorious Dinkelberg with LLY. Speaking of Eli Lilly, yeah, this spread is getting like, I think we're going to get stopped out here. I just see that 1079.30 and I'm like, well, but I have no reason in my opinion to move my stop other than if I'm like scared. Like the thing I would need to see, I mean, obviously this doesn't look great on the chart, but on the book, I'm not getting that, so I don't want to panic just because I'm seeing one thing one way. Again, I'm going to keep an eye here on service now. I am still short Google. We are 40 cents in the money now in Geo OGL, so please just punch with that. And once that position board comes back up, we'll keep you posted. I'm honestly tempted to get short service now here. How are you doing?
Ooh, service now, you want to short though?
Maybe.
All right, I see. Yeah, I mean, we're still sitting in this. We're holding on by a thread, guys. We have 45% remaining of this SMR position as it's slowly starting to climb back higher. I'm not seeing anything from a PA standpoint that's telling me to re-engage the short. If we do have indecision prints, excuse me, I had a tea this morning. If I do see any indecision prints above this trend line, then maybe we'll look to add a little bit to this position, go back into full size. But if not, then that's fine. We get stopped out 45%. No worries about it. It's going up now. SMR says Henry. Yeah, I think it might. To be honest with you, I agree with you. Why? Because OKLO, Adara got stopped out of her VST, so it's only a matter of time maybe. But there's a nice 5-minute print right here. Gaurav, sorry, I forgot to tell you about this on OKLO. Gives you a nice little pop off of these lows. $5 roughly, if you can get as close to the lower end of the range as you possibly can, you get a nice $1.50 or so plus on that specific name. So let's see if we can get the breakdown, continued breakdown. If we do get that curl over, add opportunity approximately 85s. I wouldn't add anything higher than that because then we're too close to our previous entry price. And we want to be able to use the free rolling method in order to just add a couple more shares without taking an actual loss on the position by just utilizing what we got going on. So I'm prepared to hop out here as it's heading into 2086. A nice little pop in the all-around space. BST was moving. We have OKLO starting to move a little bit higher, and now we're starting to print 86s at the ask. You can see that. Okay, we get a little bit of a drop, but back up to 86s. So buyers look like they want to engage once again here in SMR. This is a NYSE name, though, so you got to be cautious about the bamboozlement.
Why does your beef with NYSE names? I always hear you say this, and I'm like, I trade mostly NYSE names, so I'm always kind of curious.
I have a big time beef because I find, so this is just me, my observations, right, is that they will accumulate for quite some time before making that move. So they'll be typically choppy, right?
That's true.
So that is my beef, opposed to kind of like the Nasdaq. And out of the open, you notice how it's only NYSE names sometimes that take longer to open up?
That is
And it's
true.
like, why? Like, why? What's going on there, right? I obviously don't know the mechanics behind everything, but for me, that's where I stand. Even on earnings reports as well, too, Adara, you'll see that you get that strong move, and then from an intraday, all right, there we go. We're all out of, oh, rejected. That's very nice. We're all out of SMR, guys, right at 2090s, or our break-even point. We'll take a green move on this trade, but then we do get stopped out 45%. But yeah, that's where I stand with NYSE. They take long to open up out of the gate, and then on earnings reports, they tend to move a little bit different. And then I find the accumulation phases are a little bit longer, and then they make that drastic move relatively quick.
Yeah, I don't disagree with anything you said there. Yeah. And I also don't disagree with Global X. Thank you very much to Global X. Savvy Canadian traders are looking to boost their exposure can now tap into the Nasdaq 100 and S&P 500 with Beta Pro 3X daily leveraged ETFs featuring built-in FX hedging. This aims to, amplify short-term market moves, minimizing the impact of currency swings. Whether you are feeling bullish or bearish, these ETFs are built for active day traders ready to take on that market. So, read the full risk disclosure in the prospectus at betapro.ca before investing. Thank you to BetaPro. Thank you to everyone for being here today. Please like and subscribe if you are enjoying the content that we are bringing you, because I'm having a good time. I think we're having a great time over here on this here show. And yeah,
I didn't even hit the like button. Did you hit the like button?
No, I did not. And I also closed the YouTube.
5,000 of us watching. Hey man, how many do we have right now, Adara? We're gonna have to do a refresh and see what we got going on. We might just have to end things if we don't got anything over 500. I'm obviously being extremely sarcastic. How many do we have?
433.
No, I'm seeing 416. Okay, now up to 434. Let's get those likes in, guys. It's only a click of a button. Much appreciated. South Jersey Jack. Yeah, I like that play. I think 101 you'll be okay. Expiring once again. I think that's only a week. Or did you say February? Did you say February? Hold on. Yeah, February. Okay, sorry. I apologize. 101. Just be cautious. You wrote that cover call on Netflix at 101. Just be cautious, because considering we are down north of 32% leading into earnings, January 20th is earnings. So be cautious of that play. Sorry, I thought that was on the 16th expiration cycle of this month. Sorry, I apologize. I don't, again, just be cautious of the earnings report coming January 20th. And also note this down as well. So you only have a little bit over a week and a bit until that earnings report on Netflix. You're going to get that increase in implied volatility, so therefore you'll be able to collect more premium, right? So I don't know if you want to buy it back or anything along those lines. Obviously, you manage it, but just take that into consideration, that the fact that you will collect more premium after that report, regardless of what happens. You may not get the strike price that you want, but you'll see the increase in IV, and that's going to allow you to collect more money. All right, so if you're patient enough and you want to wait that time, then sure enough, you'll be okay. I hope that helped you out a little bit. Joe, don't forget, Scott, yes, no, how could I forget about you, brother? Thanks for reminding me. He's asking me about nail. Is this hard or is it not? All right, yeah, hard as nails. Continuing to climb higher. Nice look, guys. Home builders. Yes, Adara was talking about this earlier here not too long ago. So heading over to the hourly, looking really good. I mean, consecutive sessions of straight to the top side. Most importantly, what is the daily telling us? At this pace, I think you head into that $67 mark. And if you have the ability to breach it, what is that next zone? I don't want to click weekly. Sorry, guys, because then it'll kind of freeze the system, and that's not what we want to do right now.
Yeah.
So here it is, 33.80. 33.8% off of that previous high, but you are looking like you're starting to turn the tide on this one. Adara from a low of around $48, now climbing to a crucial pivot level of 67.15, and then that next zone is going to bring you to a neckline where it looks like a head and shoulders pattern was starting to be formed. Shoulder one, head, shoulder two, breakdown of the neckline, and then sure enough, you're starting to get a bounce there, but I do like your chances of breaking $67.
Yeah, let's talk here about AMC and GME. Thank you guys in the chat. Darwin, Bubin, lots of people here mentioning these. I'm not seeing any news on these, and people saying there were some options action potentially here on GME. But again, AMC also moving higher, so we'll talk about this. Great push to the upside. I did not realize it was only like $1 stock now. But yeah, I mean, let's take a look at this daily chart, see if we have any smoke on this. So GME on the daily, this is so sad. It looks like one of these small caps, like how it does the big pop and then it does nothing. Honestly, it's kind of hard. It's a hard. Oh, this is the monthly. That's why I'm like, why is it doing this? That's my bad, guys. So yeah, daily here in AMC. It's funny. I was going to say there might be some resistance here at 172. Right now we're at 164. 172 for me on AMC. GME. This is a more normal daily chart. Okay, I apologize guys, that was the monthly.
Yeah,
I think GME, obvious resistance here at 22. So 22 on GME, 172 on AMC. Those I think are the levels there. I do want to talk a little bit here about my trades. So Eli Lilly, unfortunately, we did get stopped out. It was heartbreaking. It was devastating. No, I'm joking. It was fine. It was what it was. I stand by this trade. I really liked what it was doing in the book. It was working for a bit. I stand by where my stop was. I would not have changed anything here. And sometimes you can recognize like, hey, I would not have changed anything. The situation seemed valid and it just doesn't work. And there's nothing wrong with that, in my opinion, right? It just happened. It was and then it wasn't. And you can, sing the Star is Born and you can just move on. Let's talk here though about service now. I know I said I was gonna wait there for the short until 142.15. The reason I didn't was because I liked this kind of breakdown action. I actually now I'm risking to 142.90 because I realized I think risking all the way to VWAP is a bit much. And I think also given that I was involved in this long at that 142.90 because I wanted that breakout of that cup, I did see that level. That level was rough. So I think that it's a reasonable level in my opinion to risk too. Right now we are relatively flat. But let's talk about Google. We are not flat on Google, I am pleased to say. We're Google here again. I'm happy that I waited for that 329.40 because once this broke, it worked pretty much right away, which is, as Obi says, sometimes I think what you really want to see in these stocks. But yeah, here we are. I'm not taking out any profit at VWAP as I already indicated because I think that would be a bit premature given the way this one is moving now. But then you might be asking, Adara, where are you taking profit? I'm taking out 30% of the position here, just above this previous level of support, going back to pre-market and then again at 10 a.m. I will also add here, if we break this out with 328.70 area, and I will tighten my stop to just above VWAP. So just some ideas here, just so you guys know what I'm thinking, because I'm probably going to be moving pretty quickly. I might not be able to say everything that I'm doing. So here's the idea. Once they happen, you guys will get to see Palantir looking similar to Google, but I think it's going to bounce at VWAP, and I don't want to be long Palantir right now, so I'm going to ignore that for the time being. Probably going to add to Google. What are you trading right now?
I actually just wanted to remind Scott Tomlinson was asking me about Nail. This is 3x daily. So this is a leverage product, not necessarily something that you want to own for a long period of time. Swinging it is fine, but you got to be cautious of these leverage products, even options, because there's decay within them. But even these equity trading vehicles, you got to be cautious of that. So it's a 3x daily. Look, oh my God, Adara, we got filled at 2090 on our out, and then it comes right back down to the downside here in SMR. Yeah, so I guess I don't know. I didn't have a crazy amount of shares, but they just wick me out right here, and then sure enough,
stole them away. That's so sad.
They stole them away. Save Man Woman Joseph is correct. Thank you very much for that. Can you take a look at Rich Tech Robotics? Man, you know what, Commodity King, and who else just asked me that there, Nico Wager? Absolutely. I'm just turning in my seat right now, watching CrowdStrike continuously climb a little. Oh, today, not so much. But I mean, after that breakout, and then Rich Tech Robotics, which is going to be my lottery play, I think, for our picks, it's not doing too much, all right? So again, going back to the daily and just correlating the intraday price action with the higher time frame, look what it's been up to, and then look where we're sitting on a daily. So you have that strong move up. I'm gonna be looking at this as a breath day. So just be patient. You might not find any specific direction until maybe the latter half of the session. And don't forget, it's Friday. So volume typically starts to cool off around this time, right? You're not going to, unless some news starts to come in, just be cautious on what we're going on. But if we do get an open on Monday, who knows what can happen here in Rich Tech Robotics. This name is down substantially, over 50%, 48.5% or 48.8% off of its previous pivot high of $7. But I mean, I like that as a play. If we even go and test this high, that's a 100% return potentially in Rich Tech Robotics. And that's why I kind of want to put it on my picks. Let's actually stick on this screen right now, guys, and see what we got going on. Adara short service now. I don't want to steal our light, but I kind of want to see what's going on with service now as well. See if we can see anything. Oh, okay, I do like that. I like that short there. They're a good play there.
I don't know. Right now, I think it might bounce, but we'll see.
It might bounce. It depends how tight your stop is. I mean, we'll stay optimistic with it. You still have that downtrend that's still fully intact. If it breaks 42.69, you might see a little bit of a continuation. But that curl over, heading right into some key support levels, I like our chances. And look, I'm going to note this. So you can see at that support level, we have a bounce with a 5-minute hammer candle. It comes back in, holds it once again, but we have an additional one. But each bounce is relatively weaker. And then you can see a 5-minute hammer candle starting to be printed. As long as you form a lower high, an additional curl over, I like your chances there on service. Now, as for MSTR, what have you been up to, MicroStrategy? I don't even think I looked at Bitcoin today either, to be honest with you. Oh, a nice 5-minute hammer candle right off of these lows and a strong move up into 52.20. Now just forming a consolidative bull flag. Maybe we'll look to get in at the lower end of the range. It's going to be the exact same thing in which we executed here on SMR. Oh, it's cracking. No way. That's insane. Oh, there it is. And the momentum and volume is really starting to pick up in new scale power, Adara, as it's going towards this pivot low of $20.57. 55 was going to be my next potential out, but we are no longer involved with it.
Yeah, so I put in the chat, I'm like, I don't know what happened to me in Google. I wasn't trying to get out of Google. Yeah, I typed my stop wrong. I do this sometimes where, especially if I'm a little bit tired, where I type the stop incorrectly. I would have been stopped around here, to be fair, but I wanted to give it a bit more room. But I also am not obsessed with this enough to get back in. So I did take that short as promised. I added to the short. And then whatever, we type our stop in wrong. There's nothing here that's making me super excited to get back in for the time being, so that I will not. TSLA, as Joe mentioned here, trying to run to 450s, galloping like a beautiful gazelle in the woods. Let's see if it gets what it wants for dinner here. I don't like this analogy. I apologize. But yes, a nice look there. VST is also much like what I did earlier with that Palantir trade ad in the morning, making me question my life choices. So, like, here's the thing. And again, this is a question where I would welcome you all to respond. Just tag me because I do want to know people's thoughts. So we had this breakout, right, of that 169.20s. So I thought it was fair to do my stop around there. I actually get wicked out like 20 pennies slippage. So I'm like, okay. But then, was that a fair stop, or should I have waited here until that 170? Well, I'm going to give you guys more food for thought, because look at the 30-minute on VST. This was a topping tail candle. So is it reasonable to set your stop at the top of that, or bottoming tail candle? So is it reasonable to move that stop, or would you have kept it with the structure area? Legitimately asking here, if people do have any opinions, please tag me in the chat. I want to know. Google, this is heartbreaking, man. If there were not for my typo, I would not have gotten stopped out here. Alas, I did typo get myself out, but guess what? I can always get back in, and you know what? I actually will. So there we go. We can actually take slightly more size on this too. And let's see, I don't really like what it's doing right now though on the book. So we're gonna wait, because I don't want this to be faking me out. I do that sometimes where I get stopped in on like a technicality, then try to get back in, and then it's actually like I probably should have stayed out. I actually don't think that's the case here with Google. I'm gonna size up a bit as well. And let's do it. So we're in back here in Google. We're gonna give this, we're gonna type in the stop correctly this time for one. And we're gonna give this a little bit of wiggle room. Now, I am somebody who can yap and tap the keys at the same time. I'm very blessed to be able to do that, especially because I yap a lot. So happy to be doing that here. Let's see what happens here with this Geo OGL. We're about 10 cents out of the money right now, but that's not what we're here for. We're here for the memories and for the trade. Let's talk about service now. We are, service now, like I said, the short I thought I might have been a bit premature on, but I did like how we were doing that flat bottom break of this level. I do still like that 142.90 level as resistance, and I think if that comes in again, I fully stand by that stop, so let's see what happens here. Nick W asking, can you guys look at Disney long? Love the setup. Let's take a look here at the daily chart. While I pulled it up, thank you to Johnny Just Be Trading in the chat. I like your strategy because when you put the order in once it breaks your level, other people are still idling. That's the way I trade. If I'm wrong, that's what stops are for. I agree. And here's the thing, like I think a lot of why I trade like that too is because with spready tickers, you basically have to I think front run them a lot, or you're not going to get your fill. Like that's what happened with that Lily Long, right? So I'm like, that's kind of where that comes from. Again, it doesn't always work, but I think it is a strategy that is at least sometimes worth noting. Wow, VST, I'm going to try to ignore you and just, it's fine. It's okay. Things happen. Okay, this Disney, yeah. So I mean, I never want to give advice. I'm just going to provide my opinion here on this chart. I think I get what you're saying here with Disney in that we do have at least locally this kind of like, you know, breakout setup flag. But then if I zoom out, I'm going to be honest, I see a lot of chop and I see a clear 125 resistance. I think for Disney, I would wait to see if we can get above that 118 level because we've hit that a couple times. Right now, I still think it's a no-fly zone. And again, if you zoom out, this thing is super rangy. So I'm going to be honest, I'm not obsessed with Disney right now. I don't love it on the daily, again, unless we get that 118. It looks great locally, but I think honestly, unless you're like involved in the bottoms, I don't like it that much. Just my opinion, but just how I feel. And I'm entitled to my feels. Google worked, very happy I got back in and I had more size, because sometimes you're wrong and sometimes you should just, you know, go away, but other times it's like, you know what? Why not? Is VXX the VIX? Is it on the Amex? I want to, because people are asking me about the VIX, and I want to see the right way to look at this for you guys. Yeah, okay, here's the VIX, VXX. This is the daily, which I don't want. Let's do the 3-minute, which is what I usually use. I don't, yeah, again, this is a bit of a rounded top here. There's some clear resistance at this level here at 25.80 in my opinion, but nothing super salient that would make me jump into this trade in a heartbeat. I think we would need to break that 25.70 to kind of maybe see more, I guess, move. But I guess, you know, with this VIX to the downside, the vibe we're kind of getting is, okay, like, you know, nothing super exciting here. Market's kind of chilling. I would watch the VIX when we get Trump coming up here with our friends at the oil companies at 2:30 p.m. Guess who's going to be delivering that for you? This girl, this gal. I will be there live for you guys watching this excitement, and I will be giving you all the coverage that you need. With that in mind as well here with the VIX, I do want to remind you guys in terms of market catalysts, we are not going to be getting the update here for the Supreme Court with the tariffs today. I'm seeing some reports suggesting Wednesday, others suggesting maybe June. Either way, both of those days are quite a long ways away. So expect we might be a while here until we get more information from the Supreme Court. I mentioned a while ago I liked the idea of a Palantir short, and then I kind of was like, I don't like what we're doing at VWAP. Well, we just did a nice little rejection here of the 90 MA, in which case I really want that short now, so I'm going to be hopping into that. Joe, what are you looking at?
Good stuff, guys. I'm looking at the likes, actually. I only see it at 563. You're going to have to see at least an increase in that 4,700 people watching right now. And, I mean, there goes SMR straight to the downside. Top wick out on this break-even stop out, and then sure enough starting to run into more of our price targets, 55, 50, 45s, in which we would have been all out. Sadly, my AMC average price is $4.29, says Fabian. All right, well, we'll take a look at that momentarily. 579, let's get that to 1,000 at least, please and thank you. As for SLV and what I got going on here, guys, you can see that Oklo looks like it's starting to form some indecision prints in and around its lows, but it's kind of going off of what SMR is doing. It's really starting to break down here. Sympathy play here with VST and OKLO, and now SLV holding the volume-weighted average price relatively well, guys. APLD, lots of 5-minute indecision prints around these highs, but that's with buying pressure. Keep an eye out on this, a nice little pop happening right there in New Scale Power. Now let's go back to our scanner, guys. Once again, only 2 trades on the day. Again, not the most action, but we're putting ourselves in the right place at the right time, and that gives us the ability to put on trades like these, right? That's what really matters at the end of the day. OKLO, let's head over to that one. And we'll just go back and review exactly what we did here on Oklo. Very, very, very nice PA. Once again, in just before 110s, we're risking to 109. And then sure enough, at a 1.27, 1 1/4 to 1, we take some off and then we piece it up, and we're fortunate enough to get almost a 4 to 1. Did we lock all of that in at one time? Absolutely not. But still good risk to reward, and that's really important to note, guys. Make sure that risk to reward ratio is always intact, and Neil talks about it all the time. He's like, if you're risking $1 to take home 30 cents or 40 cents, you have to shoot an insanely high accuracy, and that's relatively difficult in the market, especially if you're a gunslinger. If you're more rapid with your PA and your entries and your exits, in my opinion anyways, accuracy is going to start to drop. Doesn't mean you can't be profitable. That's not what I'm saying. But the more you trade, the lower that accuracy is going to be. Less you trade, potentially higher. All right. So there it is, OKLO. Oh, here's our voting poll. Are we holding up in the option strategies? Yes, we are, Adara. We have day trade ideas at 39%, and then we're sitting on some swing trade ideas. Option strategies, 24%, long-term investing, and swing trade setups. Now, heading back to what we got going on here, Tesla still hovering around, putting in a new high of the day, heading right back to that 448 level. A nice rebound considering out of the X amount of sessions, I think we counted like 14, only 2 green ones, but you're starting to form this engulfing price action print. Today is not the day, in my opinion, to be looking to go short on TSLA as the price action strength continues. All right, guys, Netflix, what are you doing? Oh, yeah, it's weak, so this is where you want to go short. Let's see what it's up to on the 5-minute here. NFLX, really starting to break some hearts, curled over on the price action. I wouldn't be surprised if you do head towards the low of the day at this point, Adara.
Oh, sorry about that, guys. Yeah, no, I guess this price action on service now is putting me to sleep. No, I'm joking. It is not. But in the meantime, I want to pull up my friend Lily for a bit because Lily's coming back into that 1077. I mentioned I tried this short, did not work, was willing to risk decently on it, which is fine. And yeah, look at it again. We literally are about to break 1077 and then we're up $1. I'm going to keep this on my side chart because I think there could be something here, but right now there is absolutely nothing. So I'm not going to do anything. I talked a lot about service now though. And about that that 142.20 level, we're almost there. If we break this low, 100% I'm going to add here at just below 142, and then I'm going to be moving my risk here to about this previous level of consolidation. We're about to get that add though, so I'm really excited, guys. VST continues to break my heart, but not actually, because I'm like, I understand what I did wrong there. I think I was too premature with when I moved my stop. And again, that's a debate. I still think you could argue that where the stop was valid, but also again, previous structure was maybe the better way of doing it. I'm gonna miss that ad now. I was not quick enough on the draw with this, but maybe if we move up a bit, if we do a bit of decrementing, shout out to a word that I know Jose uses sometimes in the back. There we go, we're back in here. We're in service now. I will be moving that stop. We're still in Google, in the money. We're still in Palantir, vibing, we're chilling. And I'm very pleased as punch to be here with you guys. This is so much fun to trade. It's always a little bit of an adjustment because I'm so used to like not being here now, though I know you used to do this every day. But I hope you guys are having a good time. I hope you're learning something, and I hope we're all vibing together.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, Adara, you're in 3 names right now. I'm not sitting in anything. How many tickers have you traded today?
Oh, God, okay. Palantir, VST, Lily, LMT, Google, ServiceNow. I think 6. For me, that's kind of standard. And I find if I trade too few tickers, that's usually like a bad day because I'm just obsessing over something.
Okay, cool. All right, good stuff there. Joby starting to come back in, guys. A bounce in SMR. We're going to be talking about that quite a bit as it had some strong pre-market price action. NVO, Novo Nordisk. I know you like this one, Adara. What has it been doing on the daily? Is it still continuing its recovery? All right, not so bad. Liquidity issues, obviously, just gapping up here. And then Apple was selling, but this is what I'm talking about, correlating things with the daily red intraday session, and then sure enough, you are fortunate enough to get that move right back in. Some strong buying, but sellers still fully engaged. BMNR, Bitmine Immersion, ooh. Ooh.
Oh my God.
Mike. I don't know what to do. This is a really good candle. I don't really want to take it though, to be honest with you. What's Ether been up to? I haven't even looked at ETHA in quite some time, guys. ETHA starting to come back in, so that might not be good for BMNR. But if it holds up, maybe we can get a little bit better of a price. We can go small. I mean, we got some risk on the day. It's been a solid green day for us. Just adding a little bit here with that SMR short. We did get stopped out 40%, which is totally fine. But that's just going to allow me to add a little bit more size onto the next position and stay within the amount of realized that I would like to keep on the day. This could be historical. Why SoFi, says Kevin Grant. All right, let's see what we got going on. Oracle. All right, Oracle. What is Oracle up to there? Los. Once again, welcome back. I know you're on vacation for quite some time. There goes Oracle up to $198. Oh my. Finally starting to find somewhat of a bounce here and a base being formed in that $180 zone. But guess what, guys? You're still down 43%. Oh, okay, yeah, someone was asking me about the VIX. Is it rounding? Let's see. See, what you need to note is, I think from my experience, and I've only taken a couple of trades on it, so I can't really speak too much on the VIX in itself, but it's something that you would, I think it's smarter to wait for the increases in the implied volatility. Rounding in what form? Like, I don't really see anything. And trying to buy an increase in volatility opposed to selling increases in volatility is drastically harder. For those who don't really understand what I'm saying, is that when you're buying the VIX, essentially, is that you're anticipating the market going down somewhat aggressively to see an increase, opposed to waiting for it to go down, the increase in volatility, and then selling that, right? Or buying the puts in the VIX. So it's harder to flip that kind of trade style. Anticipating the sell-off is a little bit harder than waiting for that sell-off to happen and then selling and or buying puts off of that, all right? Watch out, DVLT. Yes, the UVXI killed Scott Tomlinson today. Yes, the candle needs green. Who is at Oklo as it's taking an aggressive move down here, Adara. Volume stepping in on the 1 minute time frame as well. It looks like this breath here on SMR is going to continue on that southeast trajectory, right? Oh my days, look at that increase on the 1 minute, guys. I was gonna say, are you gonna get somewhat of a bounce here in this? But the downtrend is just not giving up any form of buying pressure. This is insane if you ask me. Steady, giving up the majority of this move. So I guess we're around 60% of that, heading right towards that gap up of 98.70. Right at the volume weighted average price. I'm going to be looking for a bounce, but I think it's going to be a tougher trade considering this is a steady downtrend. You don't want to go against this. Fade any form of pops, and OKLO seems to be the case today.
Yeah, I mean, we're still in our trades. We're still chilling here. Palantir, I mentioned I got this short here, this breakdown risking to this consolidation level, which is also prior support. So support resistance, I kind of like that situation. Yeah, let's see what happens here though. So far we have bounced at that level I mentioned earlier, that 176.20s. I didn't take profit there because I don't really think that's the trade. I think the trade is we stay below VWAP. I don't move my stop. Adara, don't be too premature. Cough, cough, what happened with VST? And just, you know, just kind of be patient with it, right? Wait it out. Google, we're like basically flat here. Google, I think Google might reverse a little bit here, but again, why am I doing anything until we try VWAP? So I'm not going to. Last but not least, ServiceNow. So NOW, I've been watching this one all day. Well, since I got on the show, thank you very much to the person in the chat who mentioned this. I don't think I moved my stop yet on VST. Oh boy. So I'm going to do that, or not VST, ServiceNow. Well, sorry, my brain is like all over the place. I am going to move that stop just a bit here. There we go. Like I said, I kind of want to, this prior level support resistance is going to be spicy to me. So yeah, here we go. Thinking of Pops Mafia asking if we recommend any books on trading. I think because I do tend to fall asleep if I like sit for too long. Sometimes I have a hard time sitting to read now as I become old. But I've been trying to work through very slowly, unfortunately.
Become old? You're like 25.
It's not about that. It's just since I've aged, I used to be able to sit and read no problem. But because I think, well, you know, I am a sleepy person. People never believe me, but because I'm sleepy, now that I'm older and my sleepiness has become more set in stone, then I'm like, I just turned 26. But so I like sit to read now and I'm like, but it's like, it doesn't matter if I'm interested or not. I love the subject, but it's just, that's not really how it goes, right? So point I'm trying to make here is, I've been trying to read One Good Trade. It's really good, and I wish I could.
We'll call it maybe an old soul.
Apparently so. What am I even saying here? I'm still in ServiceNow. Google is working. Palantir is working. Do you have any trading book recommendations though for that question in the chat?
I mean, I think like if you could get your hands on anything, read as much as you possibly can, especially in the earlier stages. Once you read one, it'll lead you into that next book, and then sure enough into another and into another. So I think as much as you can possibly read, pick them up. If you want a specific one, start from the basics, whether it be One Good Trade, How to Day Trade for a Living, or so on and so forth. You'll just go after one after the other. Forever 21, Joe, what's up? Callie Cat. Oh, okay, Callie Cat, that's my sister's name. Not Cat at the end, it's Callie, spelled the exact same way. I'm gonna bring this up because I was kind of like mumbling something, Adara, and I think you thought I was talking to you, but no, Fabian was saying something in my ear, and he was asking me, he's like, hey man, can I sell some covered calls on one of my positions? I said, yeah, absolutely. As long as you have over 100 shares, you can sell covered calls on it. After that, if you have less, you're going to need to have cash on hand. All right, you're going to need to have the full amount of cash for those 100 shares. All right. So growing your own food is fun too. Says living it easy. I mean, sure, but we live in the city. It's not that easy. I don't know where that came from, but I thought I would read that one out just because if you live in the country, absolutely, by all means. Especially, I lived in the Holland Marsh for quite some time. A++ soil, so you can grow almost anything over there, except for a limb. You can't regrow limbs, which is unfortunate.
Got really dark.
You think that's dark?
I mean, it's just.
I think that's the next technology. If we could see,
Yeah, if Elon can start doing that.
That's the next thing, right? Or, I mean, maybe we just go fully robotic or something along those lines. Oh, shout out to The Creator, a great movie, one of my favorite actually up there. It's a pretty good one. I don't know why I thought about that, but the guy gets blown up and he's missing everything, and he's kind of like Cyborg, comes back with partial limbs. All right, enough of that talk. Oh, I was going to ask you, any new A24 movies, Adara, that you've been watching? Any of the recommendations that I've been telling you?
No, I'm so behind. I need to see Begonia. I need to see American Honey. I'm like really behind on both.
Eddington as well.
Okay, I forgot about Eddington.
Yeah,
I really want to see
yeah.
Begonia though, but I'm not a huge Lorgos Lantimos person. I find him kind of hit and miss. Though I did like Killing of the Satan Deer, which for all of you guys who watch Saltburn, that was Barry Keoghan before he was cool. Before he was cool. So yeah,
That's the one that made him. Like that.
In my opinion, yeah. For most people's opinion,
yeah.
it was Banshees of Inisherin or then Saltburn.
He's in another movie that's pretty good. He kind of plays like the same character.
He always plays the same weird little dude.
I think it's like to kill something. I forget what it is.
I think I know what you're talking about.
You know which one I'm talking about with Barry Keoghan. That's a pretty good one. All right, we got a $5 super chat here though. Adara will hit this one for you. All right, thanks for helping me focus on strategy and not emotion. Question: is 2026 the year of construction/metal over tech trades? To start it off, I think that is going to be the narrative. That's just my opinion. I think it's what we're starting to see. Yeah. I mean, other emerging markets as well, too. I mean, if we talked about the tech trade, I think we refer a little bit mostly to the Mag 7, but I think there's going to be tech trades outside of the Mag 7.
That's true, yeah. I think there's like the like Caterpillar, like as you said, construction. I don't think construction and tech are apart from one another, right? So thank you, Nerd Affiliated, for the super chat. But like, you know, Caterpillar is a tech play. They're teaming up with NVIDIA, right? Deere is in that AI space too. I really don't think that it's necessarily fair to like, you know, isolate them from one another, because I do think they're part and parcel to some extent. So I really like your question there. So I think it's not necessarily the year of, you know, construction metal over tech trades. I think it's construction metal within tech. So maybe that's a bit of a hoity-toity answer, but it's the answer I'm going to give you. I wish I had more to talk about trading-wise. I'm still looking at my things. I'm still looking at Eli Lilly, but I'm like, how long can a thing just like snake before you're like, this is boring? I mean, maybe if we break 1081.50, but I'm like, at that point, I feel like I'm searching, and I don't want to be searching here for trades. You know, I don't want to be waiting by the phone for a stock to call me. I want to have the confidence to like, actually, no, I'm the opposite. I want to wait by the phone for the stock to call me, but like, you know, I don't want to play too hard to get with it, right? Like if it calls, I'll be like, well, maybe, but like, you know, I have other things happening. Like, sure, Eli Lilly, but like I'm also busy with like Google and like Palantir and ServiceNow. Like you're not my only priority. Okay, bye. But I have to talk about SanDisk, because that is, unfortunately, I did leave SanDisk on red a little bit. And I do want to thank Neil for getting me shorts on this, and during the great, everyone was looking for SanDisk locates at the same time incident of this morning, where I think Obi, Neil, and I were all like, oh my gosh, SanDisk. But yeah, so SanDisk, the long on this, I mean, literally could have been all day, but I think the one that I'm a little disappointed I missed was this kind of curl over here. It's been on my side chart all day. I just think I've been busy with other things, which maybe, you know, I should have given SanDisk more attention. That is completely fine, and I didn't, and that's okay, but I will be watching that 9 EMA, because guess what, guys? As Obi knows, and as we all should, just because you missed the trend doesn't mean you missed the reversion. So I'm going to be looking here for that reversion if it shows up.
On SanDisk?
Maybe. I mean, I'll have no fear. I will take, if a trade shows up to me, I will take it. I am like, I just like, you know, living that life. Thank you to Other Zinc saying I'm in my bag today. I don't know about that. I mean, like, the trading has been kind of mixed, truthfully. As I said today, I think I'm going to be red on the day, and this has not been like my best week or the best start of January or a new year. I'm just saying that because I'm always going to be straight with you guys, going to be honest with you guys. But like, here's the thing. That means things can only get better. And I think the one thing I've tried that I'm really proud of is, again, trying to take more size with things. If I feel confident in something, take that size. So sure, that Eli Lilly short at 1077 did not work, but I really liked it. And I think taking the size with it, given what it was doing on the book, given how long we were waiting for it, I think it was warranted. Sure, it didn't work, but I followed my rules. And regardless of what the result is, I do have to thank Neil for always mentioning resulting. Regardless of the result, the process was accurate. And sometimes I think always that's what you should be judging it on. Now, VST. Vistra. Question, is it like, chasing to get involved in this year? No. Why? Because if we reject this 167.27, which is that area of support earlier, I think the short's still on. But I wouldn't get in until we break that 166.50s. So that's the deal here with VST. I actually think we'll get it. In that case, I will short VST again. And again, I don't think that's a revenge trade. I think that's a try it again trade. But because I also don't feel any revenge. This trade was fine. I just should have been a little bit less finicky with my stop. What are you looking at right now, though?
I have a really good options question from Nobody2310. I think you're somebody. All right. So they asked me, hey, Joe, it's strong today, right? So we'll start off with that. It's strong today, so you're going to see an increase. You're not always going to top tick your calls. That's just not the case of how it works. But there's a couple things that I really do like about this trade, all right? I mean, we are starting to approach your strike price, so you don't want to allow those to expire in the money, otherwise you will be assigned or your shares will be taken away. Now, $85, you have 1 week until these contracts expire. Now, leading into the final couple of days of the weekend, even on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you're really going to start to see the value of those contracts decrease if we don't see an increase in price. If it stays relatively flat and is consolidating, then by all means, you okay. And you ask me, hey, Joe, I sold those contracts for $1 something. They're now worth $1.70 something. Am I losing? Well, yeah. You can do basic math. Currently, you are losing on that position, but that doesn't mean you're going to lose, because as long as we stay below $85 by next Friday, and the closer we get, every day that goes by, you're going to start to see that start to really start to decrease. And sure enough, you might be okay. Just be cautious. Like, if you ask me, just so you know for next time, look where you're selling it. It's kind of at the top end of this range. Right? If you have the ability and if you're willing to collect a little bit more premium, give yourself a little bit more room. I think your timeline is fine, but 89.14, if you do lose, you can always just realize a loss and then right at a strike price a little bit higher. If we do decide to stay within this sideways price action, the further you go out, the more premium you'll collect, but that will also allow you to lift up your strike price as well too. And I think a good area of resistance, because as soon as you start to break through some of this downtrend and head towards this pivot level over here, you're gonna be like, hey, I could be totally wrong. But right now, you're okay. You only have a week left, both today and then 5 more trading sessions. And as long as you stay south of 80, I think you'll be okay, even though your strike price is at $85. So just be patient and allow it to work, and you might be able to collect the full amount of premium. And I understand it gets frustrating, and this is what I was talking about leading into that final week into the death of the contract, or until it expires. That was dramatic there and dark there, Adara. But at the end of the day, at $85 next week, you'll start to see a small increase in the gamma as it gets closer to at the money. But I think you'll be okay, and you'll never catch the top unless you're extremely, extremely accurate on that specific strategy. All right, day trader Joseph, will you look at the options chain on BABA? I'm liking it for a leap, but would appreciate a second opinion. Absolutely.
Did you just say BABA?
Yeah, but I don't know why I said it like that.
It was funny. Yeah, I feel like yeah, I think it's usually BABA.
That like the
it just made me laugh.
Tomato? Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, sorry.
I don't know why I said that. I'm glad that you pointed it out.
I didn't need to. I'm sorry.
How would you say this? Data or data?
I say both. I'm same with caramel, caramel. A lot of them I just don't have a preference.
Okay, so maybe we could do. How did I say it again?
BABA.
BABA. But okay, not Baba. All right, maybe it's both on that one. Who knows? Depending on your accent. Maybe we'll put a poll up there. How do you pronounce it? But anyways, that is completely irrelevant. Let's take a look at Alibaba Group here, guys, and see what we got going on. He's thinking about leaps on this. Never mind the options chain. Let's actually head over to the underlyings daily and see what we got going on from over there. BABA. No, I don't know how to say it, Adara.
People are putting sheep in the chat for Baba.
Yeah,
which is pretty dope.
There you go. I mean, hey, sheep. But one thing that is kind of acting a little bit scared like a sheep right now, there is Alibaba Group down 22%. If you're looking to buy leaps on this name, just be prepared with the volatility that comes with it. Obviously, a lot of the overnight trading is why you get all of these gap ups and gap downs. But at the end of the day, if it cracks this level, I mean, if you're thinking about a leap, you can give yourself more room, but there is some support systems displaying themselves at that $144 zone. If it cracks, you can get out and get back in at a better price. But it's, I mean, the uptrend is still steady and up to the right, but you just go through these consolidations and then these hefty pullbacks. I mean, we just looked at one that was 22%. This one's 37%, and then this one being 32%. So if you're prepared to sit through that, then by all means, take the swing at it there, Adara.
Yeah, I'm just responding here to the T-coder in the chat asking if we can look at Amazon. Thank you for tagging me. I noticed you weren't tagging us earlier, so yeah, if you just tag us, it's a lot easier to see. That being said, I'd already pulled it up because I saw you asking about it, so we'll take a look at Amazon. I'm going to be honest, though. I'm going to disappoint you because I don't really have anything to say about this. I don't think there's much here. However, I will because I'm kind of noticing this, and this is a setup I occasionally will take. As I mentioned earlier with GOOGL, I think, oh, sorry, I'm just gonna get in this Vistra here because I did mention I was gonna take that short on Vistra. But anyways, what I think here with this, just give me 2 seconds here, with the situation that's happening with Amazon is you've got this like touch of the trend line, right? Then we kind of hang it around the trend line. Before we make a new high, we slump, we break lower, and we start to kind of hold the support at that 245.40. Now, I talked about this type of support just above VWAP, but not at day's highs. Earlier today, I mentioned Costco from yesterday, and I mentioned LMT today. I find it to not be super, super effective. So yeah, the T-coder, we have looked at Amazon. I know Joe just responded to you as well. So yeah, just make sure you tag us in the chat so that we can see your messages because yeah, we would like to see that. Ian Gantner saying, Google short looks like it's going to stop out my remaining shares. Getting in the long is where I want to be. If it gathers some momentum, look out all-time highs. I agree. I'm not moving my stop on Google because I don't think I have a reason to with how I'm trying to play this. But like I said, I think we could break above the VWAP. I don't disagree with Ian Gantner here. But again, my thing is I never want to get out of a trade because of fear or because of uncertainty. If I see something very clear in the book, that would be the only reason to get out. As of right now, I don't necessarily. So I'm going to stay put right where I am with the stop in the VWAP vicinity. Let's talk about Palantir because speaking of VWAP, Palantir saw VWAP and was like, oh, ew, and dropped lower. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to add here. I mentioned like all day I've liked this 176, 20s, 30s level. So if we get that break, I really want it. Oh, lots of people tagging me now. Oh my gosh, so much is happening. TA on the SPY says clutch one. Yeah, I mean, the SPY and I are not that clutch. I don't hate the SPY. I used to trade it. I used to scalp it actually a lot on the midday in the sim. Okay, I actually like sorry, I got really excited there. This kind of looks like what SanDisk was doing, where you find a level of support and now you're trying to push above it. I think the SPY, if we can get back above that 694 level, that'd be interesting. And it looks like we really do want to get above that 694. Maybe a bounce there for the Marquette. We're going to have to wait and see what happens. But yeah, I don't think that's a bad level. I do want to mention as well, my friend ServiceNow. So let's talk about ServiceNow. Because ServiceNow is a serviceable short. Now, the question, I didn't even mean to say the now after that. That's kind of an awesome accidental pun. Now, where's my price target? I don't have one. Adara, why don't you have a price target in ServiceNow? Because if you look at the daily chart, there's like nothing here until like 136, and I don't think we're gonna drop $6. So I'm just gonna wait and see what happens. I'm gonna, probably have I should move my stop actually with that in mind. But yeah, we're gonna wait and see what happens here on ServiceNow, but I don't wanna like make any kind of presumption about how this is gonna move. And with that in mind, I think setting any price target here would, in my opinion, just kind of be presumptuous. So we're gonna wait and see how we do this. In the meantime, I'm probably gonna tighten the stop up, just kind of see what I like technically. But actually, no, you know what? There's no point in moving it for now. I think structurally it's still that 142.6, and I don't want to do what I did in VST and move the stock too prematurely. Speaking of VST, getting in that low of daybreak short, I think for now was the right play. Let's see what happens here. And again, I want to mention this because people asked me this last week with regards to my low of daybreak shorts. I don't think there's anything wrong with them unless if you have either a flat bottom break or if it's rejecting a previous area of support. In this case, we're rejecting a previous area of support, not a flat bottom break, but one of the two ain't bad. Someone asking about news on INTC. There was news on INTC yesterday, if that's what you're asking, US President Donald Trump saying that he likes Intel, which we knew because the government invested. That's all I knew here. Someone literally saying it here, too many Tony in the chat saying, DJT loves INTC. Bubin asking us here about ANPA. Why is it up over 200%? I'll look into that and I'll get back to you here in the chat. Bovin. But in the meantime, Joe, what are you looking at?
Yeah, I'm just going to go over one more thing here for Nobody 2310. It's just saying thanks for the detailed. Last question, if it hits 85 and my contract gets, you get assigned, essentially what will happen, or considering it's a cover call, it will get executed and they'll remove your shares. But can I still make money if my average price was lower and I still get to keep the premium? No, you don't keep the premium if you get assigned. So essentially, let's kind of keep things simple. You're writing some $85 cover calls. You have a lower price of around, say, $65. You will make the difference between 65 and 85 minus the premium collected because you have to return that back. They'll remove that and then a little bit more probably because the increase in the actual options contract. But yeah, if you have a significantly lower price, then you will still remain profitable on that position, all right? Let's go through a couple more things. Guys, if you have anything in the chat, I know you guys are absolutely loving the blue light. Gavin, we were talking about this earlier. I know you guys are loving having Adara on the show. It's been a pleasure. I mean, we got a half an hour left, so still plenty of time to put on some quality trades. We've taken two names here today. That is going to be OKLO and SMR, staying within that space, both working out relatively well for us, so we're not going to complain whatsoever. But make sure you hit that like and subscribe. I haven't hit this one in a long time. You have the option to hit the like and subscribe, considering we've been talking a little bit about it here today. So do us a solid, and hopefully we can get an increase. Not asking much, just the click of a button. All right, guys, so what do we think about Datadog? INTC is putting in a new HOD. I think this is a solid play for the year. I mean, as soon as you found out that the government's taking a 10% stake, it's almost just like 24 bucks. Oh, well, see you later. And then sure enough, you're off to the races in INTC. And you have to take into consideration, look how long this thing was consolidating for, just within that like $5, $6 range. And then eventually it broke out. I think that this move can be sustained. August lows, we're not going to use that as a gauge. From those April lows, 147%, so not bad whatsoever on Intel. I'm glad the boys are starting to been holding that one, so right on and right arm to them. SMR is reverting a little bit, says you guys 33. I'm not going to try to fight this trend. I was thinking about this not too long ago. Like, hey, I really want to try to grab an additional long on OKLO. But I don't think that's going to be the case. And like, it's like, hey, ask yourself, do you really want to go against this until the trend line actually breaks? For me personally, the answer is going to be no, unless there's something from a volume increase, a substantial, obviously volume increase, and then an open up above this trend line. Now, as for silver, putting another individual or indecision print right at the volume weighted average price, so bouncing right off of that, I was thinking about taking a stab because the risk to reward is extremely tight, and that's exactly what I want. But now you're through some prior resistance, and you're starting to see somewhat of a rebound here in SLV. APLD still forming that bull flag, consolidating at and above the volume weighted average price of Adara.
Yeah, let's look at AMD. Tony Koo asking about AMD. Can you give us AMD opinion? Yeah, so I mean, like, I don't know, this is just, maybe right now at least there's nothing here for me. Again, you have that trend line break, and I think it's a lot cleaner than what you saw on Amazon. For now though, if we look at this, now what I would be looking for is what do we do with this trend line, like, to the downside? Do we break it out? Because guys, what's really fascinating here is this trend line is in confluence with VWAP. I actually really like that. So you know what, Tony Q, this is a very boring answer. Wait till VWAP. Wait to see what happens at VWAP. So I said in the chat, I was like, yeah, so I typoed my stop on Palantir, and I got out of the whole position. Oh, then no. Aziz is like, oh, good, no one should be short anyway. I'm like, it's Friday, why is there shorts? See, I think shorts can be every day of the week. And in my opinion, like with the Palantir, I just like that, like this break of this level. We're still below VWAP. I will only get back in on this, because I don't like to get back in just because I typoed. Only way I'd get back in on this is if we break that level, that 176.30, whereas where I wanted to add to the short. I also got stopped out on my Google here. This is like and again, you can argue I could have, understood this was pushing up and just gotten out there, but I don't want to get out based on speculation or sentiment, unless the sentiment obviously is like a distinct change. I want to get out, what is the chart telling me? At that point, I had no reason to believe that we would necessarily break above VWAP, so I'm going to stay and just wait to see what happens. Big green candle on Amazon, says the T-coder. Let's take a look here at AMZN. Yeah, I mean, nice bounce here, right? Like I said, this is why I think these types of holds, like what we had a little bit on the SPY, definitely in LMT earlier, definitely in Costco yesterday, these level holds always be really careful, because sure, you can be like, oh, it's a double bottom, it'll break down. A lot of times it bounces. So shout out to you, and I hope this kind of lesson makes sense. And again, as Obi says sometimes, Julie, just because I'm saying something, you know, I might not be perfect at it, I'm still trying to learn it and figure out myself. But in the case here of AMZN, I think in general, something I want to work on is when you see these types of levels bounce above view up at these levels, maybe don't automatically assume it's a short, maybe assume it could bounce there and be a long. So I'm still in service now, which 10-cent spread now, okay, not bad. Still in VST, roughly in the money on service now, roughly flat here in VST. But again, VST, the T on VST is, I think, that we can maybe go lower, but the fact that we're taking so long to do it is not ideal. But again, where is my stop? At prior structure level. Does that mean I'm moving it? Not at all. Let's go, VST, bring the downside. Okay, Dre Day, I like that one, 81, 89. Shout out to this guy, All Day Dre, that went to like our brother's school in high school and could do like the water bottle flip, and that was his whole personality. With US and Venezuela situation, they have oil, but they also have gold. Do you think GLD price will benefit from the situation? No, I don't think it's really relevant necessarily. And the reason I say that is because, at least not for now, right? That's a nice pop up in oil. And the reason I say that, Dre Day, I know that's kind of aggressive, but I say it because, think about how the Venezuela situation is being approached, right? Like President Trump has said, like, you know, we want their oil. They've really only mentioned oil. If and until they start talking about gold as something they want out of Venezuela, I don't necessarily think this is a Venezuela play. That's my take, though. I could be totally wrong, but that's just in my perspective as someone who follows like U.S. politics very heavily in terms of how they relate to the market. That is my take. And like, in case you guys are wondering how much could this Canadian girl really follow U.S. politics, I watch the
doesn't matter where you're from,
right? Well, I watch congressional hearings on my spare time. Like, I love this stuff. I eat it like candy. I would love to go and like interview people up in person. Like, I find it really fascinating. So that's the tea. That's why I follow this stuff pretty closely. So yeah, we're gonna have to wait and see what happens here on GLD. But I truthfully, again, unless they make it clear that they also want gold, I do not know if gold's a Venezuela play. What are you looking at?
Again, nothing, man. We're staying calm, cool, and collected, just like a cucumber here,
That's
guys.
smart.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, hey, my average on Gorv is 93.44. At this point, I got to hold it until earnings in hopes for somewhat of a pop and not a massive gap down. This thing's down 35%. It's a complete disaster in Netflix, man. And there's no form of a bounce. There's no signs of any imminent bounce. So we'll keep an eye out on it and see if we can find anything. But yeah, it's not been a good look in Netflix whatsoever for me personally, considering I'm in right around here, a little bit less than that, guys. And like, this is what I'm looking for, right? So you get a bounce, $6 bounce right there, couple points, and then right to the downside. And it's just like, oh man, things can get really ugly in Netflix before it rebounds, right? And I'm not going to DCA into an oblivion to kind of just mitigate these losses. I could write a covered call against it, but I'm going to wait until after earnings report, so a little bit over a week. The 20th, January 20th, it was when Netflix reports, and I mean down 35%. APLD, man, oh my God, Applied Digital. Sorry for going over the same names, but I'm just looking at them, trying to take advantage of what we got going on. Silver was a nice continuation. I think this is like the 4th day in a row where I've wrote in my notes, if silver displays an indecision print, you take it, and it's probably the 4th day in a row where I have not taken it. So it's a frustrating feeling, that's for sure. But I mean, again, we'll go 2 for 2 on the day, and we're not going to complain whatsoever about that. And we'll sit on our hands and wait for any other potential setups just to see if we can add a little bit here. And if we lose X amount, then we're at a dodge on the intraday day, and we'll just lock in those gains Adara and come back Monday morning fully prepared to see what we got going on. Banks are starting, are they not?
They are
starting. Let's figure out which day. Let's go over that.
Oh, I know.
Okay, talk to us.
So we're gonna get JPM here coming through on Monday.
Okay.
Or sorry, Tuesday morning. Then on Wednesday morning we get Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, and Citi. No.
Okay, hold on. Don't look at my screen.
I'm not looking
like that. We're going to confirm the human algo, as we like to call it.
Okay, I'm not perfect, guys. But so if I'm trying to visualize, because I did this infographic yesterday. So what days were they? You're gonna get on Monday JPM. Tuesday JPM. Sorry, I meant Tuesday. Tuesday morning JPM, the first one, around 6:35 a.m.
That's correct.
Then you're gonna get Citigroup for sure on Wednesday.
On Wednesday,
you're gonna get for sure
Hold on.
WFC.
Hold on. Okay, hold on. Citigroup for sure on Wednesday. That is correct. We can confirm that.
WFC?
Yeah, that's Wells Fargo and Company is on Wednesday morning as well.
Now there's one more on Wednesday. There is one more on Wednesday.
You got this.
Okay, give me a second. I'm trying. What went where in my infographic? I'm trying to visualize this here.
You got this.
So I know BAC was on. I know BAC's on Thursday.
No, it's
BAC's on Wednesday. No, so then MS and GS on Thursday. There we go. I am not perfect, guys.
Wow,
I'm not a
how
robot.
are you going to stop how did you hit the air on that one?
I mean, it was not perfect.
No.
So I am, as LY puts in the chat, she is not a machine. She is just a human who's trying her best. But yeah,
as close to one as we can get. All right, but TSM also on on Thursday morning as well too, Adara.
Yes, it is.
TSM on Thursday morning. Goldman Sachs as well, and obviously Morgan Stanley. BlackRock is coming in on Thursday morning as well. What do we have after the bell? Nothing much. JB Hunt, Transport, and then we're gonna head over to Friday before the open. Relatively cool. M&T Bancorp, State Street. Some of the regional financial corporation there. But then I think as we head into the following week is when the ball really starts to get rolling here, Adara. Let's see what we got. We got 3M on Tuesday before the open. That's going to be a lot of fun. And there it is, the bearer of bad news, Netflix itself, coming in on Tuesday after the close, as well as Interactive Brokers, United Airlines here. I don't know why I'm not just showing you guys what we got here potentially, but also go and check out Adara's infographic. I know you're going to probably like this one, Adara, coming up on Wednesday before the open. Johnson & Johnson.
I don't love. I mean, I'm kind of neutral. Right. They're not that spready.
All right, they're not spready enough. All right, so we'll throw that one away.
I don't hate it, but I don't love it.
We don't hate it. We don't love it. GE Aerospace coming in Thursday before the open. Same with Procter & Gamble, guys. So it might be the following week when we really get into those tech names. But Thursday after the close, Intel, Alcoa. We'll take AA and INTC. Heading a little bit later into the earnings season, it comes and goes so fast. I feel like sometimes Ryanair as well coming on Monday before the open. What do we have after the bell? Alexandria Real Estate. That one we always have on the upgrades and downgrades. This one you'll like though. Tuesday before the open.
I like two on there.
And Boeing. I didn't have to guess that one. Boeing. I like Boeing as well too. Dare General Motors coming on after the bell. And then Thursday after the close, Texas Instruments. When are the big boys coming in? I know NVDA is always one of the last one. There it is. Wednesday after the close, a star-studded lineup in Microsoft, Tesla, and IBM. And the one that you were trading here today, ServiceNow.
Yeah, go ServiceNow, go. Chipotle usually reports that day too, so we'll see if they end up confirming, because Chipotle and ServiceNow usually report on the same day. But yeah, thank you guys all for the kind comments here about my memory. I think we're all lucky to have our own gifts, and I think that's one thing that I think I provide to the team, hopefully in some way. You know, Obi talks about providing the liquidity. I think in terms of the chemistry that makes Trader TV live, I think that's one thing that I'm lucky to be able to kind of give there. So I hope that is helpful, and I appreciate James Dell as well saying too, Adara gets the trading from the team and also how to lead from Brendo. Deadly combo. Yeah, I'm very grateful. Like I've always said, I've learned so much from Brendan on the news desk. I've learned so much from everyone here, like Sean, Neil, Sharif, Obi, Joe, everybody here on the trading desk, and even like, Jose in the back, like Wayne, all of the guys that you guys don't see that we talk about all the time, everyone that used to be on the floor. Like what I love about this is the best place to learn, because especially when we have the floor in the back too, it's like a melting pot. You get everybody's opinions and you stir it in a stew and you figure out what works and what doesn't work. Wow, this wrist is really in the kitchen, wrist twisting like a stir fry. The stir fry is not getting cooked the way I'm stirring it, but not the point. The point is I do think it's important to have like a wealth of opinions, and that's certainly what you have here. So thank you very much for the kind words, James Dell, and just so grateful for this.
Isn't there a saying along the lines like some of the smartest people on the planet take a little bits of information from everyone?
I think there's something to that effect, and I think that's like what we should all do, right? And I think that's why this chat's awesome too, because we get little bits of information from all of you, like ServiceNow. Someone mentioned in the chat, and I was like,
I have to read this one out.
Okay,
Someone's
please do.
calling you out. Gotham House says you didn't learn anything from Ram. Is it?
Oh, no, that's not true. I've learned a lot from Ramin with regards to social media. Because, guys, I
Yes.
make my infographics, and it'll go to her and Andre and Fabian, and I'm like, hey, like, how does this look? Does this look really dumb? Can I fix this? Right? So that is absolutely not true. And yeah, Ramin's also like great to talk to. Shout out to Ram. We love Ram in this house. Also, if you're logged, you probably love SanDisk. Oh my gosh, this is great. Yeah, I know I said I might revert this, but
you know what I mean. But are you still thinking about a short?
if it shows up, then sure.
Okay.
If it shows up on the technicals, then sure. I would need to see something incredibly compelling, though. I have not seen anything incredibly compelling yet. Before I send it back here, I can't believe we only have 15 minutes left, Joe. Time flies when you're having fun.
Exactly.
Before we send it back over to you, I do want to got a kick out of this coming from David Treziak, good friend of the show, saying, do Adara's parents put her infographics on the fridge? I'm like, no, it's not like, I mean, I'll send them stuff if I think something's pretty funny.
You need multiple fridges.
I make a lot of them. But yeah, guys, I've got some fun stuff here over the weekend in infographic space, so definitely keep an eye on Exit TTV Research.
Absolutely. I love them as well, too. I think they're absolutely fantastic. Especially the ones where I come in third place.
Okay, I know you were really happy about that with the little ribbon.
You got to take it. Hey, listen. So I think you would have approximately, I don't know, do you have about 10 or 12 of those infographics of our like kind of the leaderboard that?
Oh, I have like at least 11.
At one point, I was probably dead last.
I was dead last for a while too.
So
with
for an
UNH.
extended period of time, and then I mean to come straight from the mud to third place, and then there's more individuals participating this year, so it's just going to make the talent pool even more aggressive and harder to be in. And you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I can't wait for you and Obi to potentially put on shorts. You said you might put on a potential short.
I'm heavily leaning towards it, and I looked at the chart from last year to kind of increased my confidence in that call. So we'll wait. I saw some people guessing what it is in the chat. I'm not going to say what they guessed it was, but if you are the person who guessed and tagged me in the chat, I did see it. You are incorrect. So it's not that, but don't say what it was now in the chat because I don't want you guys to get confused. I do want to thank, though, Ranch, Texas, for the $20 super chat.
John Ranch.
Thank you. $20 super chat here. APLD and Open wins contribution to your next Tellem trip. Cheers. Thank you very much here to John Ranch out of Texas. Shout out to Big X the Plug. Shout out to DC2 Trill. I love Texas rappers.
Okay.
But yeah, thank you very much. And congrats on your APLD and Open Door trades. You guys are going to laugh because of what I normally trade. But I was looking at Open Door today because Open Door was a nice little long. I know Neil wasn't that long. Let's see what it's doing right now. And shout out again, thank you to John Ranch. Oh, Open Door trying to bounce at VWAP. Are you? Okay. It's not a bad look. Let's see what happens here. I would probably need to see it break that 760 though. I like that you're waiting flat. I honestly really, because sometimes it's not, doesn't make sense to be in a trade, right? So you guys gotta wait.
What about Mexican OT?
Oh, I love that Mexican OT. You know I'm a huge fan of that Mexican OT.
Exactly.
I was trying to play him for my dad when I was in Winnipeg. My dad's like, I like this guy. I was like, yeah, like he just rolls R's on rolled R's. He's probably the best thing to come out of the XXL freshman list in like the last 2 years. So I got to shout out that Mexican OT. I also love when he collabs with Big X the Plug because that is some good Texas rap right there.
Yeah, some good thing. Yeah, I mean, he's a pretty big. Big X is a pretty big dude. I mean, not just like. He's a big dude. Anyways, John Ranch, thank you very much for that, for the Tulum trip. I'll tell you one thing for free, my friend. I will not be going back there for quite some time. I can promise you that, and that is some advice I will give you for free. If you're going there, be prepared to spend an arm and a leg.
Keep saying that.
Yeah, and then an additional limb as well, too.
What is it with you and limbs today?
Yeah, I'm on the limb thing today, aren't I? Like regrowing them.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know.
I don't know what it is. Well, that's what things cost around these neck of the woods, Adara, is that you have to give up a limb in order to get somewhere. So, Jordan, thank you very much for all the kind words. Joe TV says, DJ Reese, thank you very much for that one. Your boy Joey brought too much Mexican. Oh, whoa. I'm not going to, hey, angry wife, watch out. Hey, none of that garbage around this neck of the woods. That's for sure. I'm glad I didn't repeat what you wrote out there. So let's go. Is Noodles. I was just there before Christmas too. My girlfriend and I were bummed at how hard it was to find public open free beach to hang out at. Oh, listen, it's all. So essentially, I think I know the problem that you ran into. Sorry, we only got 10 minutes left, but we'll get involved with this. Is that because there's so many storefronts, but the closer you go to the beginning of the strip, there's a public access. So you can just walk in there. Obviously, you have to walk a little bit down the strip, But mind you, that beach stretch is beautiful and it's long. It's a really, if you can walk down any, like it's probably one of the best beach strips I've walked down. It's really long, yeah, really luscious, and then you have all the restaurants and everything along those lines there. But yeah, the snow peso, the Canadian dollar, doesn't go very far.
Why are we calling it the snow peso?
Well, I just seen it on a meme one time, so yeah, because it's not really worth anything at this point compared to the, I mean, you get it, so instead of the peso, it's the snow peso. But yeah, no, that's, I mean, either or, man, either or, it doesn't go very far anymore. But yeah, I mean, it's a great place. Just be prepared to spend a lot and just get the full effect of it, right? Go do a dinner, but then explore like the town. The infrastructure is amazing. I love the architecture as well too, and everything is essentially in a jungle because the bylaws within that specific town is like, hey, you need to interpret and you need to use natural resources, and that's something that I really, really liked about it. But other than that. Sorry, again, the Caribbean side of Mexican is brutal most of the time, says Mike. But yeah, anyways, aside from that, guys, Adara's still in 2 positions. I'm flat here. I'm going to wait till maybe later on in the day. ABLD was forming in a nice consolidation right above the volume-weighted average price, and they decided to take in the second leg higher. We were taking a look at the options chain on this name a couple of days ago, and sure enough, that zone is definitely in play right now, 37.59. Now it's 61 on Applied Digital, Adara.
Yeah, thank you very much for Ozzy in the chat for giving me the opportunity to just like rap part of Still Tippett in the chat. Shout out to Mike Jones. Who? Mike Jones. They're running. I forgot about a lot of other Texas rappers. Like I love Mona Leo, and I'm very sad at myself I didn't mention her.
There's like a lot. We're definitely missing a couple.
Right? No, Mona Leo is, if you like female rap, she's excellent, and she's also married to Stunna for Vegas, who used to be like part of DaBaby's crew. Anyways, I enjoy that. That's fun. But let's talk here about the market because I really want to answer this awesome question from South Jersey Jack, tagging me saying, "Can you put out some tips for shorting?" I'm always hesitant. I was hesitant. I remember there was a day where I was like, I'm scared to short. I can't short. And this is when I was still in the sim too. And then Obi and Sean basically live on the midday were just, hey, like there's nothing wrong with shorting, nothing to be scared about shorting. It's literally the same principle. Obviously there is a little bit more risk if you do this like long-term or swing, so that I need to put out. But if you're intraday, especially if you're lucky enough to be at a prop firm, like I think it's worth trying. But if you actually want tips in terms of like what to know when you do it, the way I've been kind of told that I think is helpful is just like turn the chart upside down. Right? Like if this would make you go long, you know, maybe if X, Y, Z would make you go long, and then you see this chart and the short that looks the opposite, you know, maybe consider a short, but I think that's almost too confusing as I try to say it out loud. So here's what I'll say. I want to give Obi a lot of credit for this because he says this a lot. Guys, reasons to buy and reasons to sell. And those are true if you are whatever direction, right? So I'm going to use Eli Lilly as an example. This short probably here would have been a reason to sell, which is fine. I wait to get stopped out here. But even then I would say this is an excellent reason to sell here. And again, my stop got slipped, but the point is that this was the idea, right? That 1099s, 1098 level. Why? Because this was resistance on the way up, and it was support here as we held. Then we break lower, and that's going to be a reason to get in, right? Even if you miss that, another reason to sell maybe would be this break of that 1094 level, and then you risk again. You're going to have to risk a bit because it's Lilly, but you risk to that area here in the 90 MA, the 1098, right? So I think the same thing is like, why would you sell a long position? That could be a reason to get into a short position. I really hope that helps. I think that is a really, really fun question. I'm really happy that you gave me the opportunity to answer this because I do think I'm probably like, I don't want to say I'm the best person to answer this because I don't think that's fair at all, but I think in terms of my level of experience and my background and my former fear of shorting, I think I can give you maybe a more interesting perspective. So I hope that is really helpful. And I hope everyone got something out of today. I know, I have a lot of ideas. There's a lot happening in my brain, and it's like, and some of the trades were good, some of the trades were not good. But here's the thing, guys. You can't, and again, I talked about this earlier with I think sometimes my memory being a hindrance for trading. You cannot be so hung up on the things that don't work or the things that you think you're bad at that you forget what worked and what you're good at. Right? So sure, Eli Lilly, I got stopped. This short didn't work. I actually think I'm going to try again though and risk to 1080. But look, I was able to have that LMT long. I was so happy I got to take this high of day with all of you guys right here. That's the power of trading. I think you have to, sure, things are going to be bad. Some days are going to get beat up, but you have to think, what's good? What can I learn from? And as Cardi B says, get knocked down 9 times, but I get up 10. And that's, I think, the mentality you have to be as a trader. I talked about Rocky Balboa earlier, and I think you really do have to have that kind of that grind, that hunger, that hustle. hustle. And even speaking of Rocky Balboa, I know you have beef with the Rocky movies for some reason, but Sylvester Stallone, writer and star of the Rocky movies, he really wanted to be the star. And they didn't want it if he was the star, but he said, I'm only going to give you guys the script if I star in it. And he had that drive, he had that hustle. It was successful. He wrote that script in like I think first draft 84 hours is what I read. So again, I think that kind of drive is really important. Nerd Affiliated saying we need an Adara rap podcast. I would love to do a podcast on rap, guys. I love rap. I love Winnipeg rap from where I'm from. I love all different regional areas of rap.
But you don't like the best artist on the planet.
Who are we Drake? Talking about Drake
I didn't
again?
even have to say it.
Yeah, because you do this all the time. I'll say anything about rap and he makes it about Drake. But let's make it
I'm
about
not even
Joe.
a big Drake fan,
I know.
to be
I think you
honest.
just do it to troll.
Yeah, I do. A little
But as we have, this day is now is almost done. What else are you? We got 4 minutes left here, Joe.
Yeah. I'm just looking here at RKT Rocket Cause here, and it's getting a nice little pop. So I might have missed that entry on the 1 minute, but a nice indecision print off of these lows, guys, holding up through some key support levels. I mean, if you head over to the 5 minute as well, too, you can see a nice indecision print now, getting a nice little bounce there. The open equal to the close. So RKT as a potential opportunity there. Drizzy, yes, Brampton.
Why are we talking about Drizzy?
Raptors, wow, okay, that is crazy. Shout out to Brampton. I mean, not really. Anyways, all right, we're moving on here. RKT is definitely going to be a next potential trade here for me. I'm going to keep my eyes on it. We already would have caught a 1-to-1 on it, but that is what if history. So moving forward, I know Adara's trade more names. I've traded 2, and that's only 2 trades on that. So we'll do a quick review as we are heading into the end of the day. That is going to be OKLO at 9:37. We get that moving. This is going to be our best one here on the session. So north of the volume weighted average price right at 114. We take some out and then we get stopped out a fraction of a percent right at the end. And then as for SMR, did that fake. It did the shimmy shake there and a little bit of hesitation nation there in SMR Adara before it decided to take that second leg lower. A nice steady grind. But look how long this breakdown took compared to this one.
Oh, that took a while. Yeah,
this one took a long time, but then it recovers. Sure enough, you enter right back in at 2090s to the penny. You get that more aggressive of a move lower, running into more of our price targets. But finding that base, getting that bounce, you can see these consolidation lows, gives the additional liquidity grab, and then sure enough, we get a nice little pop higher. I hear that as well too. Yeah. Oh, Canadian hip hop channel on Sirius. Much Music. Shout out to Much Music.
Yes.
RIP. Were you a big? I don't know. I feel like this was you caught the tail end.
Yeah,
maybe?
I caught the tail end, and I only had
Much
cable
Music.
for a very early portion of my life. So probably while my family had cable as well, we had Much Music, but it was fun. I liked watching the videos and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the best part about it.
Yeah.
For those who are, I know there's a couple Alexis on Fire fans in there, but I'm a big Dallas Green fan. City and Color, that is. I love him through and through. One of my artists that I've stuck with the majority of my life. He met Leia. I forget her last name. Leia. She worked on Much Music. She was the female host.
I feel like I've heard of
ended
this.
up marrying her. Very interesting. There you go. There's your fact of the day.
I like that.
Dallas Green, City and Color, marrying. I forget her last name, but her name was Leia. I'm pretty sure. On that point. Now, as for Tesla, what do we got going on? It did show somewhat of a short here. I'm curious if Obi took that little bit of a retracement in Tesla on the 1 minute time frame, showing that inverted hammer candle. Boom, all the way down to 446 with a high of around 449, and then now closing around not closing, but trading around 447. Adara, we got 1 minute left. Did you want to leave them with a little bit of a trade review?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I did a lot of things today, but yeah, we'll talk again about LMT. I think the lesson of this chart, I'll just do with lesson of each chart. Lesson of this is you can be wrong, but you have to figure out when to get right, and you have to be aggressive when you believe in what you're doing. VST, I think the lesson is sometimes be more patient with your stop placement. Just take a moment to breathe and don't worry about every single wick in the chart. Lesson with Eli Lilly here, much like LMT, is when you really see what's happening, regardless of the outcome, I think you do need to get aggressive. Lesson of the day with Palantir is like the levels you like and be willing to try them. Lesson with Google, which I just got into a new long, is again, I think kind of similar to a lot of these are the same lessons, guys. Just if you're wrong, be willing to accept that, but be willing to get really, really aggressive when you're right, because you're not always going to be right, but I hope you're always going to have a lot of fun here with us at Trader TV Live. As always, guys, I'm so grateful to be here with you guys. I know I'm not always a staple here on the midday, but I'm always in the back, and if you ever have any questions for me, just tag me in the chat, and I will try my best to answer them. But Joe, thank you very much for letting me sit at this here desk with you for, I guess, my second Midday Friday in a row. This is awesome.
Yeah, it was fantastic stuff. Shout out to Devontae, my little brother, coming into the chat here today. So I hope you're having a fantastic day at work, my friend, or my little bro. Good seeing you a couple weekends ago. It needs to happen more often. I hope everyone has a fantastic. You're going to see me momentarily, and then after me, it's going to be Adara back at the desk.
And Trump and oil at 2:30, guys.
A lot going on. We got the rundown. Looking forward to those things. We'll see you guys momentarily.
See you guys.